Here we are. Incredible.
Is this meeting being
is
recorded?
being recorded.
That was abusively loud.
Let's we're going to edit that out, so you guys won't have heard that. G'day,
Ahoy,
hi
hoy.
everybody.
Ah, damn it.
Welcome to the league finals list review, or I should say part one of the league finals list review. League
We're doing a
finals. this
trilogy.
year.
We're doing a trilogy, aren't we?
Oh, we should have done a trilogy. Oh, I've messed this up.
It's not
That's
too
right.
late.
We'll stretch into three films like they did with The Hobbit.
Yeah, it's actually
That'll be no problem.
one content worth of material, but we'll stretch it.
Stretch it across 3 episodes.
This will treat all of our videos, by the way.
For those of you who don't know me, shush, I'm doing the intro. I'm Sam. Hi, everyone. I think rotating finals is a great idea. With me today, I have Denny. Say ahoy,
Ahoy, hoy.
Denny.
Ahoy, hoy. Ahoy, hoy.
And George.
Howdy.
That's better. Good.
Man,
And
it's
today
the
we're going
worst catchphrase ever, George. That's like Lisa's. If anybody wants me, I'll be in my room.
Matt.
Yeah.
Today, anyway, we're going to go through the first half of the list for finals and give our take on them. I can't believe that we're here only a couple of weeks out from finals. It's a terrifying concept. I don't know where the year's gone, but hopefully it's built into some really excellent Lotra, and we're going to find some fantastic lists and some fantastic games with some really fantastic people. So perhaps we can get George, the host of and TO of the finals, as well as league coordinator, and possibly the best player in the history of the country, to tell us a little about the event. George,
Look at him smirk. Look at him smirk.
tell us about finals.
He didn't care about any of those intros until you said that, and then the smirk came.
He
I'm
used
Sorry,
to.
is his head going to
Only
fit in
one
this
intro.
screen? Yeah.
Yeah, so I honestly can't believe it's finals time already. I honestly feel like we just ran this last year, but here we are. So finals is obviously a big wrap-up tournament for the year. It's 6 games, 6 random scenarios. Probably the most competitive event throughout the year. Would you guys say?
Yeah.
Oh, that Wanganui one. Those lists were
Missed
pretty
that one.
It was
terrified.
competitive on paper, Wanganui, but
Yeah.
when you got there, it was it was just
Wouldn't know. I was scared off.
bloodbath.
It's definitely our biggest event for the year. We've got so far 41 players registered, which is absolutely incredible. I think, hoping COVID doesn't change anything, it should be the biggest tournament New Zealand's seen for Lord of the Rings, which would be amazing. And I'm super excited about it. And we have 20 lists to jump into, so I'm not going to take up any more time talking about it.
Sweet.
But I'm keen to see them.
All right, let's get stuck in. First of our 40 lists, first of 20 for today at least anyway, is, drum roll please while I press the button, Barad-dur, getting straight into the extreme meta, into deep end.
How is our first list of finals just straight into Sauron? I guess we should clarify, it's 800 points.
Yeah, and it's rolled off match play scenarios.
Yeah,
No
absolutely.
vetoes, just as Jay intended.
As the dice fall, as Jay intended. What would Jay do? So we got here very quickly Barad-dur led by Sauron with 7 orcs and shield, 6 orcs with spears, and 3 orcs with 2-handers. Then we've got an orc captain on a wag with a shield, 5 orcs with shield, 4 orcs with spears, 2 orcs with 2-handers, and 1 orc with a banner, and then that same warband again.
The Orc Captain on Wag is like an amazingly underrated profile, right?
100%.
He just gets the job done.
Yep.
Can you get a throwing weapon, the Orc Captain?
I imagine it's 5 points, but probably. Can you get normal Wag riders in the list?
You can.
Surely.
Yeah.
It's interesting that like the decision to go, captains on Wags, but not like the addition of 1 or 2 extra, just like Wag riders to accompany it. But I mean, you want to bulk out those numbers, and it's done a good job of doing that.
You do. It's quite tidy for a Barad-dur list of Sauron. Yeah.
Yeah, you're dropping
Easy for
what,
low
400
numbers.
points, is it, into Sauron? And yeah, you've got to get up those numbers. So I
How
like the
many-
double banner. Double banner is interesting.
I thought it was too early in the episode just for me to start the conversation about double banners.
Really?
I
Okay.
usually reserve that for like list 10 or 11.
You've got 40 orcs. I reckon double banner's fine when you've got that many fellas to cover.
Yeah, and you've capped the amount of models you can take, right? Or can you fit a few more to Sauron's?
I don't think double banners is ever an okay statement to say.
Interesting. What is if it's Imrail with a banner?
All right, no, sorry, veto.
Veto. No, no vetoes in this one, Sam.
Too late at night for this. I can't have this conversation again. It's 16 banners.
Sauron has 18-inch chill soul. Is that still a thing?
Is it 18? Isn't it 12?
Is it
I think
12?
most of his spells are 18, aren't they?
I honestly think it's 18. I'm assuming this isn't one of, I'm assuming this isn't one of your lists.
It's not. I can confirm. I would never bring Sauron to
Yeah, the times that I've versed Sauron, I've always assumed the chill soul was on 18 inches.
Yeah, none of us know the answer to that.
Yeah.
That's weird. It is 18 inches. Christ,
It
that's
is.
yuck. That's yuck.
That's
That's why I'm here, guys, for that expert knowledge.
Genuinely, it's a very long way to chill a soul. It's quite gross.
It's super like I don't know, abrasive when you're versing it though.
Yeah.
Like knowing your leader can just get sniped from 18-inch range just for like a cheeky wound for a couple of VPs.
Yeah.
Even it's a list you can like shoot while it's coming into you, but honestly, you feel pretty comfortable if you're the Sauron player, just like walking him up alone and chilling, soloing banners and important targets, and you're like, well, you can't really shoot me.
Honestly, I've seen this list run with like orc bows, and even if I'm running elves, the opponent just being like, you know what, I don't really care. I've got this 18-inch caster. They can just, as you say, take snipes out of anything big. So I'm not going anywhere. I've got the captains back here with the march in case I need it later. But you know what? Let's see if you want to come to me, because if not, I'm just going to get some easy leader kills here or easy banner kills, and then.
What are your other hero options other than a captain in the list? Like,
I think you take a generic wraith. I think
generic wraith.
You take Witch King or Wraith. Yeah.
There's
Can
also
you get shaman?
You can get Shaman.
You
Yeah.
get shaman. I think you can also take what's the Morgul Knights.
And Numenor and Marsh, I was going to say, yeah, I think that's probably quite a tidy option.
Yeah, a little bit of terror with
Fight
the lance.
5 lance D7.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems pretty tidy.
Shaman would definitely be interesting as well, just to like negate some of those games we can never get in the charge in. But I mean, you're so reliant on Sauron doing the damage anyway. The orcs are there just to hold objectives and tie stuff up, I imagine.
I mean, other than like Return of the King or Army of the Dead, I don't really see any big list which is going to cause a terror problem.
Mirkwood.
Like Angmar, Sauron's just going to deal with all the spirits, which means they lose the army bonus. I don't know, it's pretty tidy.
It's pretty tidy.
I like the idea of going just for max filthy orcs. But
the numbers, Sauron's your problem, and everything else is just filling that space, which is I think that's the right way to do it. I think that's the best way to do it.
The fact that you're second captain on a Warg is like a threat compared to a shaman's like relevant as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like maybe, although I do like the double banner, I could see if I was running this list just for a bit of variation, taking those, 30 points or whatever, and either bumping up the orc captain into a Morgul knight captain or whatever they're called, or even just peppering in a couple of Warg riders or some kind of variation in there.
Or putting some Black Numenorians in.
Yeah, or Black Numenorians. That's just a play style.
I definitely think a few like Warg riders with throwing weapons would do some damage as well. Give you a bit more like versatility to get to objectives and whatnot as well.
Yeah, but very cool. I reckon really fun to play as well.
Yeah, I like that you're giving your opponent, you're bringing Sauron.
Yeah.
But you're bringing your opponent 40 models to kill at the same time. So, it's not, often I played Sauron and felt like I had nothing to do because he's just going to keep on pointing at me and killing me. But this gives me.
I feel like we've given this player a hot tip and that their chill soul's 18-inch range as well, and there's no way they knew that.
Nobody knew that. Super resident sleeper. All right, cool.
There's no way they knew what their profile did and we didn't. That's
all right, so the reason this is here is because we have another one. Yeah.
I hope this isn't like a sign of what's to come. It's just the first 20 lists.
There's actually 4 of these in a row. Yeah.
Pretty noteworthy difference there.
Somebody want to run through it for one person?
So this one's got Sauron leading 8 orc spear shield, 7 orc trackers, 3 orcs with shield, an orc with a spear shield and a banner, and then an orc captain with a bow and a warg, and 3 warg riders with shields and throwing spears, and then a catapult. So you've got
Let's remember, if anyone listening to that, when we say mortal catapult, what we're really saying is catapult with a freaking troll. Never forget the troll.
Yeah.
It honestly should be in like the title of Catapult, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It just sounds
should
so
be.
much more like of a threat when you say Mortal Catapult with Troll.
yeah, Catatrol.
Yeah. Trollopult.
So this is I think like it's kind of what I was referencing previously with lists that I've versed with other Sauron lists that I versed where they kind of max on the bows and force the engagement. This is very much if Sauron just wants to chill with that catapult in a corner in castle. This is a list that will very much make your opponent come to you.
I mean, look at the difference in numbers though. Like how much that catapult affects your total number count. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I think the person who's written this list is going on the assumption they're going to castle as much as they can, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they've added in the Warg Riders to kind of run and get the objectives late game as well, not relying on those numbers. So if that was your intent, well done. That's very smart. Interesting going for a bow with your captain, which I'm not against, honestly. A mitable bow is always fun to play with, but
going for the shooting.
it's very interesting. What are your thoughts
I
on
think
that,
what
George?
could have been cool is some of the Orc trackers being mounted as well. I'm a massive fan of the tracker on Warg profile. Obviously, it's like a bit of an awkward model and whatnot, but I think that can add some versatility of shooting as well.
Definitely.
Part of me thinks
No severed heads. Interesting.
no. For
Pay
me,
the 5 points
with
with the Harbinger with
Ancient
Sauron.
Evil. Yeah.
Ancient Evil. So
Are we missing a shield on the captain?
Well, I guess the bow shield wouldn't achieve anything.
This person's true. This person's braver than me though. I could never elite for the bow over a shield.
I would definitely have dropped that bow for the severed heads. I think it's 5 points for severed heads.
Yeah, it's true. It's 5 points. That's probably a good trade actually.
You definitely don't want to be dropping any more numbers. This is definitely the lower side of where you want to be sitting, right?
Definitely.
With this one, you can just literally just like chuck Sauron up into the fights, and the orcs are just sitting in the back, like cheering him on. Like, we're not getting involved. We're not dying. You go. You got this.
It's round 1 of the tournament. It's this list. What's the last list? What's winning?
And a game of to the death.
Yeah.
Watches that catapult just kill Sauron.
I think the catapult is going to do a lot of work against the other
You
ones.
think the catapult favors out in the mirror match?
Yeah.
I think so. Well, I think
and
so.
The
I
extra
think something needs to. Yeah.
The extra shooting. Yeah.
I mean, it's so objective, though, right? Isn't it? Right.
The numbers aren't going to make it into the fight. Half of them will be catapulted.
I do like with the Mortal Catapult that the troll sort of like saves you a little bit of maelstrom, which is always a bit of a risk taking
literally about to say that. It's literally about to say that. It's a little sleeper there, right? Because it's probably the one siege weapon out there where if I'm playing maelstrom, I don't actually care.
Yeah,
so you know what? If you want to drop a couple of heroes down here, try and take out the troll.
Go for it.
Yeah.
While
Exactly. I'll call a march and start going to the center of my other warband for hold ground or whatever. So it's a little sleeper there for Maelstrom. Puts people into a false sense of security.
We should probably obviously bring up the fact that like Sauron lists are naturally very polarizing in scenarios as well. Like there's some scenarios where it's very, very good at and some scenarios where it inherently struggles. Like I think the Mortal Catapult does a good job in some of those scenarios at like negating it a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's still just scenarios that this list is going to struggle with. Domination or storm the camp or anything that's got to get across the board with some numbers, reconnoiter. It's going to have a struggle.
But you're going to have fun because you're going to have Sauron with a catapult.
Anyone
traveling down to Christchurch and paying money for a little break on cashew, or whatever it's called. I'm definitely wanting to pack this.
anyone who's like trying to get to your camp or recon, you're just chill soloing. So
yeah,
no, cool.
Fun.
Please on another one.
Barad-dur number 3 coming up. Oops. Whoops.
Spoilers.
Oh my god, what?
Azog's Tower. I've never seen this before, and I'm stoked to see it.
So George, sorry, we'll just go through it. So we got Azog with the stone flail. I love that. Hot take. It's definitely worth the points. A lot of people don't think that, but it definitely is. Armor, which I assume is heavy armor, and a signal tower. So signal tower was coming with 11 Gundabad orcs with spear and shield, 10 Gundabad orcs with shield, 7 Azog lieutenants. So I believe that's just like a generic Gundabad orc with 1/1/1.
I think
Might
that's
be
right.
might be fight 4, but 1/1/1. 2 Warbats, great. 1 ogre, and then a little goblin merc captain who's bringing 9 mercenaries.
All right, someone run me through the signal tower.
Signal Tower has like 4 different what do you call it, banners,
Yeah.
each giving some different benefit. One of which is, I think one like makes your berserkers, well, it's irrelevant now because there's no berserkers in the list, but I think it makes the Fury Saber 5 rather than a 6.
Mhm.
I can't recall what the rest of them are.
One is like a
But-
map-wide banner effect.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of like a massive buff thing. It's like a
It
goblin drum
is.
on a large scale.
Yeah, but
Massive
the
buff.
main, because I was looking at running this at OTT this year, the main like benefit of the signal tower, and you're probably gonna have a look at whatever it is they're using because there is no model for it, but you can put it anywhere. So like in hold ground, you can just chuck it in the middle. Discuss something like that. Seize the prize, you can just chuck it. I don't know, I have to recheck the rules, but I'm pretty sure it's one of those things that can just be plonked anywhere within your deployment zone.
That's tidy.
Interesting. What a cool, like, unique profile.
They place it anywhere on the battlefield.
Yeah, so
And so it comes with these like lieutenants, which are like small little captains that just stay
Yeah.
on it. Can they
Fight
leave it?
for 1-on-1.
it's like 6 inches away from it or stuff, and yeah.
Oh,
So it's
cool.
it's a map-wide banner, and it's
Yep.
all heroes can declare marches for,
That's the one.
for
And they
free.
all get a point of might, those lieutenants, so they can call a march. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can
and
you
the
down the signal
-1
tower
to courage
and
for
have,
enemies as well.
and then
Yep.
have the mercenaries pop up on the signal tower?
I don't. Well, it depends if you would call a signal tower a piece of terrain.
I guess it's not, right? It's a
Sure you can't, yeah.
It's battle. It's equipment or something. I don't know. It's as a TO, that's for you to call.
but
But
you could put it next to a piece of terrain and then just have half your army show up.
100%.
in the
Or you
middle
can
of the
always just make the goblin mercs just come on normally. You don't have to do the whole ambush shenanigans. Although there's a lot to say about the signal tower, which we can go back to, I really want to point out I love the stone flail. So it's my go-to with Azog. So I find with like when you're running with Azog or Bolg just cuts through everything. And Azog cuts through heroes really, really well, but cannot cut through troops. So
Is he
giving him
he's just space strength 4, is he?
Azog strength 5.
5.
Yeah. So if
I
you're
mean,
going
what do
against
you want
like
cutting
Iron
through it to
Hills
five?
or
I guess
Sorry?
if you run into D8, you're not chopping through stuff.
well, if you run into like D6, you're still running on 5s, right?
Yeah, but
It doesn't mean you're always getting through like the 3 troops they've put into you or something like that. The stone
Right,
flail
right.
just like brushed it down to a 4+ at no real negative, right? Because you don't really care that you're dropping your fight 7 down to fight 6 for the turn.
Yeah. How much points is the flail?
20 points. So it is quite an investment. And I've usually only taken it when I'm taking Azog with the White Warg and, just using it as a
You run
thing
a
to run
flail,
through. Yeah. Arguably, like, Bolg does that better, but I'm always scared about having a 10-point Warg for my 165-point hero
Yeah.
and it getting killed to a leggy or whatnot.
So is this Azog on foot as well?
Looks like
Looks
it.
like it.
But that's bold.
No,
Bold,
Azog,
not
not
Bolg.
Bolg. Yeah.
There you go.
All
Yeah.
those points went to the tower. He's got his tower instead of a wag.
Yeah.
And the 2 warbats for a bit of speed.
So Warbats are just so cool.
They're so
The ability
versatile.
just to like,
Yeah,
they're so like just objective grabber is cool, but just being able to, it's kind of that thing that the Hobbit did where it made a whole bunch of models which are not really fun and interactive anymore. It's just like you get to roll and your opponent can't do shit about it. So that's exactly what a Warbat is. It's I'll just move over your guy and see if I roll the right thing, whether or not you're on your ass or whether or not you're dead as well. Which is great for the person running the Warbats. It's always annoying for the opponent when you're left like what are they called? Goat riders as well on a 5-up, knocking you prone, but you can't do anything about it. So that's cool for the Warbats. Ogre's a cool decision. I think what's happened here is you've kind of hit your model cap and your points. So you kind of just decided to chuck in a big, heavy, 60 points or something for an Ogre into the Warband. which is cool. Like he's still strength 5, strength 6. He's a big hitter. He's going to hit a lot. He's just D5, which means he is not going to like any elven shooting.
It is a giant warband. Does it get bonuses?
Yeah, he
Is it
goes
like-
as 24
like
if he takes the
24.
tower.
24.
okay.
Yeah.
And the
Uh,
stick.
Yeah.
Do
I
those
mean,
in this one count?
Not
Sam,
against
can
his
you-
limit, no.
Sam, can you remind me? Is one of the other banner effects that it makes Berserker's Fury save on a 5 rather than 6?
Yes, that's right. Wait.
S-
No, it's a 6 for all Gundabad models.
Oh, so everything
There
gets
you
a
go.
Fury
It's the
save.
Fury save, yeah.
Everything gets a Fury save. That is
That's-
nasty.
That's
That's
nasty.
really annoying for bats and things like that.
If it's a Gundabad, if it has the Gundabad keyword.
Gundabad
but-
model. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. So what's the model count? It's 24 plus 9 and the 2 there. So with the Fury saves, that's essentially adding a few more, in theory, models to the model count.
Interesting. What an interesting list. I'm very
And
curious
It's
how
still,
this
fo- it's still 42 models, isn't it, somehow as well, actually?
Yeah,
Nice.
it's surprisingly big.
Mm.
I'm really curious, one, what their signal tower model was going to be, and two, how this goes. I've never seen a signal tower in any form of like competitive tournament or
Yeah.
Anything.
It's, I mean, do you just like completely power game it up and make it just this thing with a whole bunch of in the ways so no one can ever shoot you? Or
I think if you're bringing a signal tower, you'll bring it because you've got a cool model.
yeah, I've seen a couple of cool 3D prints for it, so I'll see if it's one of them.
Very
But
cool.
yeah,
Cool.
very
Look
cool.
forward to seeing it. Alrighty. Next we have the spoiled Minas Tirith and Army of the Dead combo. Not Return of the King.
It's like a list straight out of like 2016 or something.
It's Return of the King before these new legions.
Yeah. Wow.
So we got Elisar on a horse with 4 knights, 3 warriors with shield and spear, 2 warriors with shield, and 2 rangers with spears. Medril with 5 rangers and spear, and 4 warriors with spears, with shields, I should say, sorry. And the King of the Dead leading 6 warriors of the dead with shield, 5 warriors of the dead with shield and spear, and 1 warrior of the dead with shield, spear, banner.
Cool.
This is
Very cool.
Elisar leading rather than Stryer leading the Army of the Dead. So minus points for anachronism.
Oh, it's very
Yeah.
strong though. It's a very
Yeah,
strong
it's very
list.
strong.
That's cool.
We've talked about it before, but Alisar is like everything you want in a leader, right? An Elven
Yeah,
Blade, Defense
absolutely.
Effort, Fate,
Horse Lord.
Mount,
Never
Horse
forget
Lord.
Horse Lord. Horse
Yeah.
Lord's so good.
wound, like ability to wound things easily. You can't get much better of a leader.
6-inch banner. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really like the warband layouts. The 4 knights and that warband seems really good. The list needs
Yeah.
a bit of speed, so that's going to give it that. It also like gives Alisar a wee like, like
We retinue to go around with.
yeah, like a bit of a punch to the warband that it's not just him. Like
Yeah.
a warrior minister with warband with some rangers can sometimes just grind to a halt on some things.
Yeah.
So the knights are going to add a bit of a punch there. The King of the Dead warband's interesting to me. I really like the banner in the Army of the Dead side just because of the durability.
Yeah.
I think maybe I would drop the spears on the Warriors of the Dead potentially, and just
100%.
have your front line Warriors of the Dead. Then you've got your spears on your rangers and a few warriors. I can see the whole
You
like
got it.
if it's Maelstrom, you want a few
Yeah.
spears in that warband, but they're models that like hold up so well on their own. They can shield till other stuff gets there. They can chill out till the rest of the spears get there. So I think maybe you could save a few points there. It's only 5 points, but
Yeah, that's my main comment as well, as I would have gone for just max up the shields with the King of the Dead and put in as many rangers with spears. Even Fountain Court maybe. Just anything with a spear for the Minas Tirith side.
Yeah.
I 4 knights with shield, like yeah, that's cool. I like that. I just hate fight 3 cav, which regardless
That's a
of
real
where you
shame.
want to put your cav, it's always going to be fight 3 for both of these.
Yeah.
But I think there might be a bit of an argument having just a couple of cheeky ghost cav.
You trade all the knights for 2 riders. Is that worthwhile?
Kind of thinking. That's what I'm kind of thinking. Maybe
I think
2 and
Sam's just
2
done
or
you in a single comment there, Denny.
what's that, sorry?
I think Sam's just done you in one comment there.
What's
The
that?
fact that 4 knights equals 2 riders. Do the knights automatically come with alliance?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was about to say or. Mardril was really good. Mardril in any competitive ends are always going to do really.
Yeah.
He's just such a phenomenal profile. Like
Always
the versatility gives you just like domination coming on further up or below, whatever it is. Just a great take in any Gondor list. And look, it's going to be a tough nut to crack. There's a lot of high defense there with the Rangers fight for supporting. The like model count must be relatively lowish, right? 11, 12, 13, 18, 35.
That's pretty high when you consider
too
that
bad,
is
yeah.
spooky.
It is 800 points, so 35 is still on the smaller side, but for a high defense army, it's pretty tidy.
It is also almost all fight 3 though as well.
Yeah, and it also sort of lacks that other punchy hero. You've got Alisar, obviously, who's going to cut through stuff, but Mardril and the King of the Dead, they're good profiles, but they're not really renowned for chopping through stuff, are they?
Yeah.
So I think if you run into sort of those high defense armies, you might struggle to cut through them a bit, but hopefully you can sort of use your shield wall and shield a bit with the Warriors of the Dead. You can grind them out and play the scenario. I think it's got to be the objective with it.
Do you get Harbinger on King of the Dead? I think it's only if you're in the Legion, isn't it?
Is it Legion only?
I thought it was standard.
I'm sure I was looking at the Legion earlier on today, and I'm sure I saw that it was only, because that to me is quite a loss on him, frankly, if you can't get it.
Oh, the suspense is killing me.
Talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, no Harbinger on him by default.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. I think it's important, I think.
I guess that is the elephant in the room to address is having Madril and Alisar better than just running the Return of the King Legendary Legion.
Yeah, swap it out for Legolas and Strider, obviously.
I honestly think it's been like a I don't want to say meta decision, but over the last year, there's been lots of arguments around like where and when you take Alisar, like venturing outside of the list sort of constraints. Like a lot of Rivendell Knights lists weigh up whether or not we should include Alisar. I know people are toying around with it with Rohan. I know even lots of like Gondor lists, like Doemroth style ones.
Yeah. I've even seen like some Lothlorien ones also just going to stuff. I don't want the resistant to magic green army bonus, whatever it is. It's just chucking Alisar in there as well.
Such a hot take and a hot drop on his own that he just sort of like often gets thrown. It's a weird way to put Alisar into a list, but he gets thrown into like various lists just because he's such a good leader.
He can lead anything.
And he's like one of the only good things that consistently can kill.
Yeah, and he's a 6-inch banner. Like it's just so important, especially at 800 points.
Yeah.
I'm curious that a lot of these lists are taking that second banner. Like, I think for a list like this, it is important to have that banner for the VP side of things because it wants to sort of like play objective and like grind a list out. It doesn't have the ability to go after their banners per se. So it does need that second banner there, but the like addition of a 6-inch banner to any list is so powerful.
That's cool.
That's interesting.
I'm happy that it's not the Return of the King Legendary Legion.
Well, on that note, should we go to the next list?
Oh god.
Is it Return of the King Legendary Legion?
Oh, shivers.
Don't worry, we'll edit that in post.
Guys.
Talk amongst
It is
yourselves.
pretty hard to click a button, Sam.
Talk amongst yourselves. I was trying to do a thing. I was trying to make it cool.
Did you put in a nice wee transition?
I didn't. No, I did something even cooler.
Jenny's manually doing the transitions. It's fine.
Everyone watching is like, oh god, they're going so quick. This is great. They're not talking about things for ages. And then you've ruined the flow with that.
I wanted to skip ahead to the Return of the King Legions in here because after that conversation, I wonder whether we look at this and say, actually, So here's the Return of the King. It's pretty similar. We've got Aragorn, Legolas, and King of the Dead rather than Alisar and Madril and King of the Dead. And we've got 3 Riders of the Dead. We've got a banner, and we've got about 20 Warriors of the Dead with a mix of spear and shield.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, is this just the better way to do it? What do you reckon is the Is
And
that
before George says there's one rider too many. Yeah, carry on.
Honestly, I'm just looking at every warband and seeing what I could. Honestly, I don't think there's much I change in this list. This is like, to me, a pretty pitch perfect Return of the King
Yeah.
Legion.
Definitely.
You want Legolas is definitely the choice in a competitive event over Gimli, I think.
Mhm.
3 riders is well within the sort of margin of how many riders I would take. I think 3 is perfect. I think 4 is too many, 2 feels too little, 3 is probably about right.
I think 3 is spot on. Yeah.
Yeah. The amount of like shields for spears is probably pretty accurate. I think is good. Honestly, maybe a couple too many spears, but you got to fill out the point somewhere, so it's probably fine.
Yeah, you're not going to have another warrior, are you? No.
You're not getting that. Like, how many spears do you have to drop to another warrior?
14.
All of them.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
No, this is I have nothing to critique on this Legendary Legion.
And I guess the thing is, you get Aragorn as a 6-inch banner, same as if he was Alisar. You get the Harbinger on the King that you wouldn't otherwise get. You know, you get the 40 points saved for the free Anduril. So he's killing just as much as Alisar as those on foot, granted. To me, I'm kind of like, I really like Alisar, but for me, I'm kind of like, this seems to hit almost all the same notes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
if I was traveling overseas and had 2 lists to pick from, this one or the previous one, it would be this one. This is a.
I mean, you lose that shooting threat.
That's true.
But
you do. And you lose the fight for.
You got to march with Aragorn, like you.
Yeah, you've got the march with Aragorn, and you do have Legolas to take out those key targets. I think they're pretty different. I think this one's like generically a bit more competitive. I think everyone knows the Legendary Legion is pretty damn strong. I really like the take on the other one, though. I think it's a cool.
I'm glad someone's doing something different with it. Yeah, I really am. Yeah.
If we had just had a bunch more of these, we would have been in trouble.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really impressed with the list building of it. I think it's a perfect Legion. I don't think there's much more like to talk about in terms of how it operates. We've all seen it before. It does its thing. It's
our
really
premium good. Our premium Patreon will have the 45-minute video as George and I discuss 3 or 4 riders, and we'll get Tom in there as a special, maybe 6 riders. Cool.
All right. Anyway, thank you for that brief changing of the order. Oh, for God's sake.
Oh no, here we go.
I had to go back. I had to jump out of order.
Was it worth it?
It was. I'm pleased with the discussion. I really enjoyed it. I'm sure our viewers did too.
You just skip to next already.
So here we are, back down to earth with Angmar. We've got it all here, folks. I'm gonna list it. We've got the Dwimmerlake on a horsey with 5 orcs with spears, 5 orcs with shield, an orc with a banner, and a dead marsh spectre. We've got Bardad-dur. We've got with nothing. We've got on his own. We've got Guldur with 1 wild bug. We've got a Barrow White with a shield orc and a 2-hand orc. We've got a Barrow White with 2 shield orcs and a 2-hand orc. And we've got a Shade with 3 2-hand weapon orcs.
Does Birdo have the elf keyword?
You have to ask him that.
Yeah, this is the bubble army of death, isn't it?
Does this feel like to anyone else it's got like one too many things? Like it looks like 1,000 points?
I think the way that it kind of synergizes here is, I agree with what you're saying, George, but the way it synergizes here is you have the Dwimmerlake who's going to be there making your opponent use double will to resist anything. So cool. And then you've got the Dwimmerlake himself who can cast spells, and then you've got the Spectre who can force will to be used if you fail a fluff of courage, and then you've got double Barrow Rights just to make sure that something's going down. So you kind of like all your big heroes are all going to be paralyzed by like turn 3 with this list. And once they're all paralyzed, the play obviously is to chuck Gulliver, the big flying bat of death, into them and just OTK them. And
see, that all makes like complete sense to me and sounds like
yeah,
an amazing game plan. But where does Bardad fit into it?
Yeah,
or even the Shade fit into it.
Oh, the Shade is just an annoying.
I know, I get that. But if your plan is cast all these spells and then Guldur kill somebody, great. To me, I feel like it becomes a slightly serious plan when there's a few more numbers in there. And yeah, I think Bardad is a good point.
Definitely. My my play styles, if I was running this, I'd take the 110 points from Bardad and chuck that into more wargs and orcs and whatnot and fill up the warbands.
I'm really keen to be proven wrong by this, though. I really like the idea of like big monster heavy, big magic heavy Angmar.
I mean, once
And
Gulliver
like-
gets OTK'd by a siege weapon or some elf bows, maybe Bardad's there to be like, all right, I got this now.
It is very much like if you know how to use this list, you're going to do so much damage very quickly. If you sort of have to split up across multiple objectives or have to get across them shooting, you're going to be in trouble a little bit. But if you can get into someone with all these threats and they don't have the ability to block Bardad off from important targets, you're going to do like some serious damage very quickly.
Yeah, so I reckon this is a good medical for Christchurch. In my experience with Christchurch tournaments, there's usually about 1 or 2 boards that have nothing on it, and then everything else which has a good amount of terrain on it. This is the kind of army that if you verse on a table that's just got nothing to hide behind, a lot of this is going down very, very quickly. Yeah, very, very, like you're not even going to engage, just your D5, D4 orcs and Gulliver and all that are all just going to perish. But if you're playing on one of those lovely tables in Christchurch which have beautiful terrain on, you can definitely use the terrain to your advantage and then
I guess,
strike.
yeah. Like something to note as well is 6 2-handed weapons. Oh no, yeah, 5 2-handed weapons. And like how they synergize with the shade. I guess if you're like dropping them down as well when you've got your spearmen still, that's pretty powerful to cut through and do some more damage. But I'm not sure if the list was like lacking in damage in any capacity, so it'll be interesting to see how they play out. Like you said, 2 Barad-durs are going to keep anything paralyzed with the Dormalax supporting it, and there's not much you can do about it. So yeah, it's brutal. If you're a list which can't split this up or can't get away from it, you're going to be in a bit of trouble.
If you're taking like your own bubble army with a big old Dane or Thrend or whatever, this is just going to put you in your place. Or a big bozzer or something that even Alistair even.
Yeah, but if you're able to like break away into smaller pockets and get on some objectives and stuff, I think it's going to struggle to keep up with you.
Yeah, Gulliver's the only speed, isn't it? I mean, everything else is one wag in Gulliver, and there's no march.
It's also
it's going to dawdle a little
it's
bit.
also it's also interesting. Even though there's only 6 might, it's still a high might Angmar army. So maybe that's what Bardad is there for, George. Maybe just most people might just go for like a generic captain to get 2 points of might and fill up the rest with orcs and wargs and whatnot. But maybe that's what Bardad is there for, just another 3 points of might and a strike.
I'm really keen to be like proven wrong by Bardad. It feels like that warband is just crying out for a captain on a warg. To give you that might and that march and a bit of speed or whatever it might be and some few more numbers.
Yeah.
I really want Bardad just to clean some stuff up and be proven wrong by it.
I agree. I think when you're looking at a list like this, when you look at a list like this, you're looking at Angmar, right? And you go, cool, Angmar's going to be Gulliver and Witch King and Barad and a captain. You kind of make the list and more than one dead Marsh Spectre, and then you kind of read through it and you can leave going, oh, what? This isn't the Angmar I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, when you sit down and think about how it synergizes pretty well together, it's going to, given the right scenario and the right board, it's going to just be a very, very, very difficult nut to crack.
Yeah, no, I dig it. Very cool. Good luck to this person playing. I think it's a very high skill army, but if you can pull it off, it's going to do some damage.
Yeah.
I'm really upset my background stops me from doing the transition. I watched Wayne's World so many times to be able to do that, and then
Serves you right for painting your fingers green, I guess. That's part of the risk you take. The next list we have here is Rivendell and Minas Tirith. This is your classic Rivendell Knights.
Is
So
this
we
a
have-
classic Rivendell list? I
It's
don't
classic-
know.
It's Rivendell Knights. It's some form of Rivendell Knights. There are many forms. Anyway, this is Elrond with heavy armor and horse, leading 16 Riv Knights with shields, and with him is Elisar on his armored horse, leading 1 Citadel Guard with a horse and a longbow for a mighty 19 models at 800
Well, I
points.
mean, here we have a classic case of Elisar just being dropped into any old list because he's just a phenomenal profile, though, isn't it?
Just a
He
phenomenal
really-
profile.
I mean, he does add a lot to the Rivendell Knights list, though. The ongoing might to like give you endless marches, the might transitioning into the late game, the second like beat stick hero, 6-inch banner. He adds like so much into this list, but I mean you do pay for it. You're quite low on numbers.
You're very low on numbers. You really, really are. I mean, I think he's not mandatory, but he gives me every single thing that I really wanted.
We should clarify, guys. By the way, this is Sam's list.
This is my list. Sorry, yes, this is my list.
Filth. Filth.
What's in?
Filth. Absolute filth.
Filthy. I mean, I think it's going to be fun. The only thing that you might often want in a Rivendell Knights list that I don't have is a blinding light for
Think about Kurdan.
for the shooting. I did think about Kurdan, but the thing about Kurdan is then you've got a man on foot and you've traded 4 of your knights in for him and your numbers go down suddenly to a pretty nervous 12 Rivendell Knights instead. Now, he doesn't solve your might problem or your lack of march or anything else. So you've still got to bring a big hero like an Elisar, but you just had to drop even more troops for a dude who's really only going to be casting a blinding light bubble. And that's it.
You're also missing out on a banner, which is like, yes, you have a 6-inch banner in Aragorn. Obviously, it's amazing, but a Rivendell Knights list really needs access to that like victory point banner as well. So you're gonna have to make sure you're playing around that.
Yeah, it's definitely something I have to consider. It's not ideal. Again, it came down to a point of I'd have to sacrifice a knight to pay for the banner, and then a knight has to carry the banner, which is effectively sacrificing a second knight. And I feel like at that point, again, you're sort of sticking down to you go from 16 to 14 knights. And also, I think at the point at which you're buying a banner, I might consider switching from an LSR to a Strider anyway to save those points, because you are paying for the banner effectively on LSR.
Yeah, I totally agree. Once you're locked in with LSR, I don't think you can find room for the banner. And I guess that's where the argument of Strider comes in, whether or not that like downgrade giving you access to the banner is worth it.
For sure.
There's something ironic in the fact that we're wanting you to find points for a banner, yet you have a 6-inch banner. Like,
Yeah,
there's something
exactly.
funny in that Aragorn is a 6-inch banner, and he's the thing stopping you from taking a banner.
An actual banner. Yeah, it is a strange thing. I think if you're at 700 points or 600 points, LSR Aragorn becomes Boromir on horse, and then you got slots for a banner there as well. I think that's what it looks like at a slightly lower points level. But at this stage, I think I just needed the LSR, to be frank.
It's funny that the entire list discussion revolves around one model. Like the rest of the list just completely builds itself, right? You take Elrond, you
There's
take
no
as many knights as you can fit.
Yeah.
The only discussion is around this one model, but it's still like such an interesting discussion because you have so many options in the space. You got, I mean, to list off, you go Kurdan, Alisar, Strider, Legolas, the twins, Boromir,
Gandalf.
Fellowship Boromir, Gandalf, Saruman if you're crazy.
Yes, Saruman. You're fantastic. There's a lot of cool options, a lot of fun options, a lot of things you can do with it. But yeah, it very much is 3/4 of it is mandatory, and then you're playing with 1 or 2 things at the very edge. So I've got my LSA, and of course my Citadel Guard as well, which is purely a factor of the fact that I have 18 spare points, and that's enough for a Citadel Guard on a horse with a longbow, but not enough for a Rivendell Knight. So
yeah,
needs must.
I definitely think 800's the spot where you at least start having those like considerations for LSR, right?
Yeah, I think at this you couldn't bring him any lower level. I wouldn't bring him anything lower than this, but I think at this level he becomes, to my mind at least, the best choice. But and those other heroes start coming online as you get to the 700, 600 level. That's when you start getting into the Boromirs and the Curdans and possibly a Gandalf or something instead. But I just think you can't come into an 800 point game with Elrond and Gandalf as your big heroes, or with Elrond and Boromir. If you have Fellowship Boromir as your big heroes, there's just not enough staying power and damage going on there. I think LSR is essential for that beat stick that you talked about.
It's interesting as well the fact that like how often do you get to play LSR like very like with a lot of freedom,
fancy free, yeah.
He's not your leader. Like
just chuck
when
him
you
in
get
there.
a list where LSR isn't your leader. So I mean it opens up quite a different play style for LSR where you get to be a bit more ruthless with him.
He's
and
still
like when
critically important, and I want to have the late game if I possibly can. But yeah,
when you have that freedom with him, like it's just going to exaggerate his damage, which is already pretty out there.
True that. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be good fun.
I don't want to face it.
Hey, that's high praise. I think I've done the maths, and it's got almost as many bows as any other list. It's coming, and they're elf bows. So, thanks very much. Righto. Next up on the list, anyway. Enough talking about myself. It's my favorite thing to do, but I bet not do
I
it
think
too
that was the shortest like list of yours we've ever spoken about.
I mean, there's not much to say about it. You know,
The fact that
It's-
there's that much discussion around one model in the list is crazy, though.
that's the entire. I mean, the entire conversation we've had is about that one model, and that's it. Everything else is just. If you're making this list, this is what
And
you're
that was
bringing.
like a brief conversation around that one model. I could have this conversation with all the different options.
We've had this conversation many times, you and I.
Mm.
Even previously on this podcast, I think at Avon Hem when I.
I think next episode we'll just donate to what is the second hero in the Rivendell month at every points level.
Every 50 points, yep, all the way up.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Next up,
All right.
we
That's
have
what we got.
the Fellowship. Okay, the first thing is Gandalf on a car, and I'm already sold.
Yeah.
Hell to the yes. I've never played against it. I don't think so. I'm keen to see it. Gandalf on a cart, Aragorn with a bow. Then we have Boromir, Legolas, Gimli, Frodo, Sam, Merry, Pippin, and Mighty Bill the Pony. The 10 model Fellowship.
I have a couple of questions. Number one, is there a legendary legion for the Fellowship?
There is a breaking of the Fellowship.
But there's not a Fellowship legion, right?
Not if Gandalf's there. No, not if, or Bill the Pony. If you drop those two, you get Legendary Legion.
And so, what's the army bonus for just Fellowship?
Is it Fearless? And like a banner around Frodo or something like that. Is that right? Does that sound?
Is it you can't be broken around Frodo, or is
You
that?
can't be broken with Frodo as long as Frodo's there. That might be what it is. Yeah.
I thought that was the breaking anyway. And anyone know rules for the cart?
2-inch, basically shot in the shooting phase with a strength 2 hit.
Oh, with the fireworks? That's
Yeah,
tough.
4+ to hit or something.
I respect
that's
someone taking the cart. Every time there's always one guy taking the cart, and every tournament I have the utmost respect. It's such a
I
cool.
just say I've seen a sneak peek of this model as well, and it is beautiful. So
Yeah, I was just about to say the only reason you know anyone's taking the card is because they want to play with the model. So I'm looking forward to seeing whoever's it is. I mean, it's been like what considered a fun list for the last like 10 years, right? Like this list doesn't change. It's always going to be fun. You're always going to have a blast
It is a
playing
fun
it.
list. Yeah.
There's something fun about running around with just 10 models, 4 of them are hobbits or whatever it is. Like I don't know. I've never got the chance to play at a tournament, but I really want to one day.
I think
It seems very like cruisy.
I've done some stats on all the lists at the tournament, and one of the things is total might in the list. And this is, you might be surprised to hear, the highest total might with 22 plus Mighty Hero. So he's going to be able to control the play and put the finger on the dice for sure. That's always good fun.
He's going to be calling a heroic shoot with those fireworks.
Fireworks. Interestingly, the war gear is what is written here in front of me. So in order to bring the cart and build the pony, things like
armor.
a shield or a horse on a Boromir, or armor on Legolas, or armor on Aragorn has been sacrificed.
Yeah,
Even-
right.
Even Frodo doesn't have sting and a mithril coat.
But you would usually have access to horses. Of course you would.
You would have access to all these things. Yeah.
I
But
mean, you
The
can't.
only
You can't.
war gear is the cart and Aragorn's bow, and that's it.
Yeah. It's the theme. Well, I mean,
The theme has definitely taken precedence. As soon as you see build a pony on the list and a cart, you're like, yeah, this person has taken what they
we're dealing with a maverick here.
we are dealing with a maverick.
Justin,
But,
is this you going to take ownership to this list?
I really wish I could.
Justin too much of a
down.
tryhard to run this.
Yeah, true. So
much
what does the
true.
build the pony do these days? He's actually got really good rules, right?
I think if you end a turn in base contact, one model in a turn in base contact can restore a point of might or will or fate, I think, on a 5-up.
Yeah, that's what the list was lacking. More might.
He's
Yeah,
also a
exactly.
banner to the hobbits. Is that right?
That might be right, actually. Yeah. So it's nice
Again,
to
what the list was lacking.
soup
just
up their
more
combat
banner.
power.
I mean, it's a fun list. You're always going to struggle with this in a 6-game tournament, though. Like, every to the death, you get one storm the camp or reconnoiter or whatever scenario where you have to get models to multiple places. So as much as you're going to have an absolute blast in some games, you are going to be struggling in a few others. But
Yeah.
you know they're going into it when you take a fellowship list.
trying to control terrain against a 60 model goblin horde is going to be pretty dicey.
Yeah, exactly. But also, it's really fun playing an 8-man list with Gandalf, like having blinding light. You just get to pick your battles.
Yeah, true that.
Without everyone with his bow.
It's a 10-man list. Don't forget build a pony. I'm not going to have any build a pony erasure here today. All right. Anyway, next up we have. Oh yes,
This
our
is so
last
easy.
alliance. This man's not forgotten Theoden. So in brief, we have Gil-galad with a horse and a shield, leading 8 high elves with shield, 6 Kingsguards with shield and spear, 3 Rivendell knights with shields, and 1 Kingsguard with shield, spear, and banner. We also have Theoden with 5 elves with bow, and then Isildur with a shield and a horse, leading 9 Numenorians with shields and spears.
Scary.
Last alliance with Theoden.
It's like the perfect heroes, right? Like, I think if you build a last alliance, for me, these heroes often like go hand in hand. I think there's sort of 2 ways you can go. Like, if you're expecting a magic heavy meta, you can go like Glorfindel and Elendil to get like double fortified spirit big heroes. If you're not expecting too much magic, which maybe in the case of all these dragon emperors running around and whatnot, you can definitely elect to go a bit more, I guess, a bit more aggressive route with Gil-galad and Isildur, where you definitely have a bit more killing power. So I really like the hero choices. The fight 6 is really relevant again if you're expecting
Huge.
dragon emperors running around at fight 5. Like, getting access to fight 6 is huge. Interesting, like, warband layouts though. Like, only 5 bows.
3
And
Rivendell
no-
Knights have bows as well.
That's true. That's very true.
Like, you've got Kurt in there to like maximize blinding light and whatnot, but you're not maximizing your shooting and back. You do have 3 Riv Knights as well, so it is 8.
Justin just said, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just the Numenorians that aren't pulling their weight, but the elves got their max shooting.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think that's the only thing I'd like to see is a few Numenorian bows, just to like, you've got blinding light, why not maximize it? But other than that, I really like the like division of King's Guards to normal elves. I think 6 is probably that perfect number.
Yeah.
Getting that fight 6 where you want to, the Numenorians in there for the strength, like, it's pretty spot on.
I don't see much of a weakness, and it's got Kurdan, so I'm happy.
The essential part of any Rivendell list, the most important model.
Yeah.
Mighty Theoden.
And three Rivendell Knights is like, I don't know,
Yeah,
it's a
it's
really fun contingent to play with, like running around with 3 Rivendell Knights. I've always like enjoyed when you get to add a couple into a list. Like, the second you pair those 3 up with Gil-galad or even Isildur, like, that's a hitting force in its own right, you know?
Absolutely. It's gonna be really good fun. There's part of me worries it's too susceptible. It is quite susceptible to the magic. Like Gil-galad in particular is any wraith anywhere within 3 tables of you is going to be casting every spell they have on Gil-galad.
Look, it's the risk you take when you go the Gil-galad Isildur route, but like, I think you kind of have to all in this route. If you go something like Gil-galad, Elendil, or Glorfindel and Isildur, you end up with like one hero practically being, a kind of magic casting against it effectively with Fortified Spirit, which means the other one just takes all the like battering of the race.
I mean,
all the
Isildur's got
battering-
resistance to magic though.
Hmm?
Isildur's resistant to magic though.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not
halfway there.
Fortified Spirit.
No, but he's halfway there. At least he's got something.
Yeah. If you only have one, it just feels like they take all of it and they get like completely cut out of the game. Whereas at least if you have 2 heroes that aren't Fortified Spirit, it divvies it up a little bit. And I really like to either go double Fortified Spirit in the last alliance or no Fortified Spirit.
I think you could potentially target that magic caster as well with Isildur in his ring. If you're really starting to worry about it, just chuck
True.
that ring on other lines and try and cut him out.
That's real true. Yeah, go straight through. Very good point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, eight shots with Blinding Light's going to outshoot most things as well, so it's going to have a pretty fun time, like castling up and then getting into a position with. Obviously, they're going for a lot of the Numenorians behind the front rank of elves there, with like Kingsguard scattered around where they need the fight 6. Those
Yeah,
Kingsguard with fight 6 and Elven Blades in front of them, just hold up heroes like nothing else as well.
Which is what you want when you've got Gilgalad running around and Isildur running around as well.
It started doing that. This meeting has been recorded thing, and I really don't like it, but it is what it is. Anyway,
I don't like it. Background stops me from doing the like fading in.
yeah,
fading
that's a loss. That's a real loss actually, because it's quite a cool thing when we do this.
Yeah, you know I am doing it.
Don't notice
We can just go again.
Let's not get too meta. We've got let's crack into this. So this next one here we've got in front of us is a Mordor list, one that I personally think is really cool. So we've got a Witch King, a 3/18/3 Witch King, very willful, with an armored horse and a crown. He's got 6 Moradins with shield and spear, 4 Moradins with shield, 2 Orc trackers, 2 Warg riders with shield and throwing spear, and 1 Moradin with a shield spear banner. Next we have the Shadow Lord on a horsey. He's got 6 Moradins with shield and spear, 4 Moradins with shield, 2 Orc trackers, and 2 Warg riders with shield and throwing spear. And then we have Shagrat with his super shield, with 6 Moradins with shield and spear, 4 Moradins with shield, and 2 Orc trackers. I've said the word Moradins a lot in the last minute, and I think I'm slur it like a drunk man every time. So hopefully you all got this list.
How many do we get to? Is it 45 odd Moradins?
I think it's only like 30 only, like 30 Moradins, but it gets to about 45, I think, by the time you put in all the other stuff as well.
Yeah, wow. I mean, off the bat, the interest come from 2 casters, like 2 significant name races.
Yeah.
It's pretty worthy at 800 points. Like, you've got Shagrat as your big hitter there, so you'd definitely like to see that like being supported by 30 Moradins with their strength 4. Like, it's definitely a list where your punch is going to come from those troops doing the work, but also like Shagrat being supported by 2 casters is nothing to joke about.
Yeah. Man does some serious chop. And even the Witch King with a crown is also, a reasonably serious hero as well, on a horse and a crown. He's hitting almost as hard as Shagrat is.
Yeah, particularly with 18 will, you're definitely not afraid to chuck him into combat. Yeah. Like, when you're usually sitting around that 13, 14 will mark, even 12, some people go like, you put him into combat a few times and you cast a few spells, even with the rerolls, like only rolling one die, you're still a bit nervous, but 18 will, you can chuck him into whatever.
You can do both. Yeah, he's useful for a long time doing both, which is really, really marvelous.
I think he's the second beater in this list.
Yeah, for sure.
With the needs, right? Like, Shagrat can do a lot of work with 2 caster support, but you always need a second beater at 800 points. Like,
definitely, yeah.
Just to chop through enough stuff, you need that second hero. Interesting that the Shadow Lord like decision as a second caster, like particularly you've got a lot of D6 anyway, but I guess you're just expecting a lot of siege engines and a lot of elf bows.
Yep, I think with this many, it's not a fast moving list. I think with this many troops moving at 6 inches a turn, even with the D6, they've got not much shooting themselves. I think you've just got to have something to keep you from getting blown away or losing half a dozen guys. What's that?
Don't forget the 6 Orc trackers that are just.
Don't get me wrong, mighty units that they are. But I don't want to sound like a snooty elf player, but the 6 Orc trackers aren't going to concern me too much. It's going to be plink plonk, go home. So I think the Shadow Lord is really a really nice drop for the extra caster and also for that. Drop them in there, and you turn shooting. That's it, done. It's really good.
That's actually quite good. Along with the Witch King, you can you don't mind using a Shadow Lord's ability when you're in close against another evil army, especially if there's most likely going to be Corsairs or something like that. Being able to sit in combat and only get hit on 6s by the evils is quite defensive, and you're not too worried because the Witch King's got 18 will. He can go into combat if he needs to as well.
Yeah. Would you like to see like a Fell Beast in the list, perhaps? I think it seems like the noteworthy exclusion from me. If you're running space, usually you'd like to see one of those on a Fell Beast.
Where would you put the Fell Beast? Shadow Lord or Witch King?
I think I'd go the Witch King, just to solidify the fact that he is that second beat stick.
Yeah.
You could sort of find points through, your horse is 10. You could probably drop 5 will. That's another 25. Drop a Warg or something. 18's a lot when you've got the crown.
18's a lot. Isn't the target normally 14, 15? That's sort of what I think of as being the 15.
Yeah, maybe I'm particularly conservative, but I mean,
drop the Shadow Lord.
Yeah, let's drop the
Turn
Shadow
him
Lord.
into just an unnamed ring wraith.
A shaman, because that's an issue as well. Perhaps you want to mention is if this thing comes up against Terra or Army of the Dead or something, or a an elvish aura of dismay, it's going to spend a lot of time standing around.
Mm. The two wraiths there sort of have enough disruption to maybe force some engagement though through throwing out compels into the Witch King and Shagrad and whatnot.
I mean, if you're having to compel, random troops into your Morans to get into combat, I mean, I'm happy with that as the opposition. Like, if that's what you want to spend your will on, you do it, dude.
If this list gets into you though, you're in trouble. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's a lot of damage with
Chop, chop,
Brandons.
chop. Yeah.
And just the sheer control it has with the two wraiths, like Shagrad, if he gets in front of something, is going to be able to do a lot of damage. I really like that he's got that blood and glory. Like, the two wraiths supporting a hero with blood and glory is really cool. Like, taking his one whatever he wants, send Shagrad and get the kill, get the might back,
Really
start
good,
all over again.
compel a hero into the right place. Run on top. That's a really good point, actually.
And he's on the small base as well, so it's way harder to defend against if he's already in the lines.
That's the beauty of it. Cavalry charge on a small base. Gorgeous.
Mhm.
Cool.
No, I like it. Cool. Like, enough like Warg Riders to have its own little force there.
Yeah.
And
that's
go
nice.
off and grab objectives and enough little bits of speed, enough honesty bows there. I really like the Warband layout.
Really well balanced too. Yeah, I mean, I've done some stats which I'm going to share with you all later on the lists overall, and this has got quite a solid number of fast moving troops. There's a lot of lists that don't have enough, I would have thought, frankly, speedy dudes. It's nice to see a few Warg Riders in there as well as those horses, just to give it a bit of zip when it needs it, especially because it doesn't have that march.
No, cool list.
Cool
I'm a
list.
fan.
We love it. We're happy. We're stoked. Chop, chop, chop. Moranans. All right. Next one is this is one of my faves. Really, really cool. So this one here is a Moria with dark denizens of Mirkwood and dark powers of Dol Guldur. Triple yellow alliance, folks. So we have Durburs leading 8 goblins with spear shield and 5 prowlers. We have Drujag the Beast Caller leading 5 goblins spear shield, 5 prowlers, and a giant spider. We have the mighty Spider Queen leading our dark denizens, bringing along a giant spider and a bat swarm. And then we have the Dark Towers, led by the Witch King of Dol Guldur, the Nazgul Ringwraith Witch King, with 10 Hunter Orcs, and also a Hunter Orc captain with a Felwarg and a bow, leading 5 more Hunter Orcs with bows, 2 Hunter Orcs with Felwarg and bow, and 1 more little Felwarg for good measure.
Where the hell do you start?
I mean, it's just really, really cool. You've got a Spider Queen with Druzia, you've got 18 odd Hunter Orcs, you've got a Witch King for might, you've got a Bat Swarm in there. I mean, it's got kit left, right, and centre, eh?
Yeah, it's like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, it really is. It can be very high skill. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of things to keep track of, a lot of things to take place.
That'd be the big flag for me with this list is this is going to really reward you if you use it correctly and really punish you if you make some mistakes.
Yeah.
But that probably goes applies for the opponent. If you make mistakes playing against this list, you can get punished big time. It has the ability just to knock you out in a couple of turns.
I like the fact they've got.
It's got
Sorry, go ahead.
It's got a lot of fast-moving models in there as well, and fast-moving models that can get boosted up by Druzag. It definitely looks like someone opened the book, went, "What tools do I want?" and kind of picked bits and pieces. They want their fight 6, they want their ring effect, they want some sort of cheeky little assassin, and then a whole bunch of 2 attack guys. It's crazy.
How many Druzag targets do we have? We got Giant Spider times 2, a Bat Swarm, and a Spider Queen, and a Felwarg.
And the Felwarg.
And to be fair, any wargs, there's 3 or 4 more wargs people can jump off as well if they're so inclined. So you might get a couple more wargs.
Yep.
I think it's enough.
And as you've mentioned before, Sam, you also have 3 Broodlings.
Yes. Spider
Which
Queen.
is pretty
Broodlings jump out, they get enraged, and they charge into somebody. That's a 22-inch odd threat range for enraged spiders.
That is a scary, scary proposition. But I mean, it's interesting because the damage doesn't just lie in the beast. You've got 2 attack Hunter Orcs being supported with Goblin Spheres.
Yeah. Getting the spearsman is lovely.
Yeah, if you fluff your dice rolls against them, they're going to hurt you.
1-2 combat is what it's take. Yeah.
The Witch King, I think, is an interesting addition. I presume he's just there to throw a cheeky 3 might.
I mean, you need to bring something to get the dark powers along, and he's the best option for sure as far as those wraiths go.
I think that's a logical choice there. He can sort of be that pseudo other beat stick as well, where he's going to just sort of do his job.
3 might.
He's
strike. Yeah.
Yeah, right in a strike. And Durbers is such an underrated leader. So good for his points.
Just wee goblin do it, eh? Just a wee fella.
Yeah.
I
Also, throwing weapons.
10 of them.
Yes,
Yeah, true.
10.
Prowlers. Even the prowlers got a lot of chop. There's a lot of a lot of damage to be done.
Yeah.
But she's a big old glass cannon. When you're relying on some spear shield goblins to be your high defense front line, God help you.
I really like the addition of the prowlers as some sort of way to combat if you come up against terror as well. Like being able to just have a threat with throwing weapons, just to get in the face of terror. I think it's a really, really smart move. But you're right, Sam. Like this thing can get shot off the board in a turn if it
One
doesn't get
turn
the
of
right
bad
board.
shooting. Yeah.
But my God, if it gets into you, you better switch on and focus up because there's a lot of things going on here.
You're playing against this. You got to watch that Spider Queen like a hawk in that bat swarm.
I really like that. Clearly, someone's like elected not to do assault in Lothlorien and just take all the sort of cool bits from everything
Very
and just make this
small
mission.
But without
Yeah.
not being stuck with just hordes and hordes of goblins you don't really want.
Yeah, it's like a wee Frankenstein of the 3 lists.
Yeah, all the cool stuff.
It's very cool. I'm a big fan of this. I like
Very
it.
impressive. The concept is great. Yeah, and they've squeezed a surprising number of 100 orcs in there. I just think 10 out of 10 for the craftsmanship on the list.
But my God, I don't want to be playing this on game 6 on day 2.
Playing it or playing against it would be equally frightening. Unless there's nice wide open terrain just to go bang.
Yeah. Maybe if I was 16 Rivendell Knights in a lesser or something, I'd be feeling all right.
Pew, pew. All right. Next up, we have the Serpent Horde and Far Harad. This one has the Mumak War Leader as its leader. And the Mumak War Leader is carrying 9 Haradrim with poisoned bows. Then we have Sullivan with his armored horse and 4 Harad Raiders. And the Betrayer with his horse and 4 Harad Raiders.
There was always going to be one.
Mm-hmm. And this one did the maths as well. They figured they've got the correct amount on top and down below that you have to kill something on the Horde, which is exactly what you want.
11 on the Mumak, 10 on the ground. Yep.
Feels far too coincidental that those numbers are pretty much perfect there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Really noteworthy inclusion of the Betrayer here, though.
Yes.
I think sort of that's the spicy point here is having that Wraith, having that specific poison reroll Wraith. Because I imagine he's not going to hit your bows up top, right? Because it's a 6 inches radius.
Yeah, you have to be right underneath the Mumak, I imagine. To even get
Which is not exactly where you want him to be.
No, for obvious reasons. Yeah, and I mean, I guess the question really is he worth the price of losing your Grand Army of the South Legendary Legion? Because that's what you paid. Because otherwise, that's at Legion, easy.
Yeah, interesting. The noteworthy, amazing inclusion, obviously, in Sullivan. So he's just like amazing to this list, providing 6-inch banner.
Yeah.
And I really like. I always think it's the most gangster maverick move to when you're running a Mumak to run full cav. It's just something screams out. Once you have the Mumak, you want to go full cav. It just feels correct. I don't know. It's amazing. So I respect the decision to do that. The 8 Harad Raiders, beautiful.
We do have Fight 3 D4 cav, which is not ideal, but equally they are going to be re-rolling glances.
Can you fault someone for not having 8 Serpent Riders though, which would obviously be the correct choice, but who the hell has those models?
Yeah, exactly. Very hard to come by.
But also, this person is going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
These are like, I have so much fun playing with Sullivan. I have so much fun playing with the Betrayer. I presume I'd have a lot of fun playing with the War Leader. Can't say I've used it yet, but that just seems like 3 heroes I'd love to use.
Yeah, big time. I really like the notion of using the Betrayer just to compel somebody in front of the Mumak as well, just or someone place. I think it's a nice little combo there as well. So it's not just a matter of putting on the poison. It's a matter of just being able to little shenanigans, put somebody in front of it, or move somebody out of the way of it if a hero's blocking.
It's really handy when you know that hero's going to run into the Mumak and strike just to stop that whole situation.
Exactly. Very, very important.
And how much might have we got? We got 2 on the Betrayer, 3 on Theoden,
3 on the War Leader.
3 on the War Leader, is it? Yeah, I mean, it's decent. 8 might. It's like obviously important with the War Leader and an all cav list that you're winning those moves off. So you need the might to support that, but 8 seems like it's in the realm of probably the correct amount.
8's are pretty. I think 8's about average.
I don't really know what else you're spending your might on the list, right? Other than just heroic moves every turn.
It's got to be.
Celine is not really throwing out a whole lot of combats, but Betrayer's not throwing out any channels or
Maybe a
anything
March.
like that. Yeah, maybe a March, yeah, right.
And with the Betrayer, you can afford not to strike with your Suladan as well.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And Silda's providing everything in this list, right? He's providing your strike, he's providing your march, he's providing your banner. And the beautiful thing is here is he's not even your leader. So you don't have those banner points to hide your leader. The one questionable thing about Sildadan, right?
All your points in one place.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, all your points are still in one place, but for the first time, it's not Sildadan.
Yeah. It's a pretty hard one to deal with. This one place, it's a pretty solid place.
Yeah.
Cool.
And if that goes down, you'll probably lost the game anyway. So
yeah, she's over. I think it'll be a lot of games where they'll be the last model on the field. That damn mimic. Yeah. And everyone on top of it, of course, as well. Next up. Ooh, this is a spicy wee morsel, this one here. I've been waiting for this one. So we have Minas Tirith with the Fiefdoms and Rohan. So we have Elisar with an armored horse is leading. He's bringing with him a Citadel Guard with a horse and a longbow. That's a nifty wee warband. All the best players are bringing that. Next up, Forlong on a very strong horse. We're leading 1 Knight of Dol Amroth with a horse and a lance. Interesting little drop, that one. Then we've got Theoden with a horse, heavy armor and shield, 4 Royal Guard with horse and throwing spears, Gambling with a horse in the Royal Standard, leading 2 Royal Guard with horses, and then Durnhelm leading 1 Royal Guard with a horse and throwing spear, 1 Royal Guard with a horse, and 1 Outrider, also with a horse. This is cracked out Riders of Theoden, is what this is.
yeah, it's like a weird pseudo Riders of Theoden, right? It's sort of definitely trying to achieve all the same goals of winning every single might battle it can possibly win.
Which it will do.
And have, absolutely. What, 2 replenishable points a might each turn?
Per turn, folks. Yep. Toxic.
And it's definitely gonna hit. It's not gonna hit as hard as Riders of Theoden, but it has a lot more lasting power in the terms that it does have LSR going into the late game.
Yeah.
But I mean, big call to stray away from Riders of Theoden. But I mean, everyone seems to be adopting this. Elisa's so powerful, he's worth breaking up your army bonus for and just chuck him in the list.
Yeah,
he's that good of a leader at the moment. He's everything you want for this meta. That 6-inch banner is just too good to pass up.
Yep.
It does make the choice of Gambling noteworthy though, right? Like you have that 6-inch banner, Elisa. Do you still need Gambling in his Royal Standard?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it lets you split into 2 halves as well, so you're not as tied up in one spot, and it's way less predictable where it's going to be. And also that means 2 flanks have replenishable might, which is just horrifying. Because that's your best counter against this is banking on a roll off going your way. But when you've got 2 forever, that's truly terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't hit as hard as it doesn't have the 1 turn glory that Riders has, but it'll just keep doing it.
There is that thing you negate of that Riders of Theoden where you have your 1 turn glory and it doesn't go well, and you're like, well, I gave it a go. This definitely has it doesn't require that 1 turn to go well. It has just as much, if not more, hitting power the later this goes comparative to the other list. And I mean, Gambling offers another resource in the sense he can charge in and call a heroic defense every single turn now, right? You're not relying on might for anything else because you've got Alistair there. He can literally just run into the big hero and call defense every turn. What do we think of Forlong?
So what was that?
What do we think of Forlong? Seems like the interesting option here.
It is an interesting option. I personally, to my mind, don't see what he achieves, even with the extra knight, that couldn't be achieved by Aemir instead. better by Aemir.
I mean, you're getting the horn, I suppose, but you've got a lot of real guard
A
that's
lot of
not.
royal guard. Literally every soldier, apart from his bodyguard, apart from the Outrider, who was, got his leader bonus anyway.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Forlong's a great model and amazingly worth
Yes.
his points, but it feels like he's worth his points if you can maximize use of that horn.
Yeah.
And even in the likes of getting a Daewine or an Aemir seems like the
Daewine
obvious.
is really good.
I'm really curious how Forlong works out. I guess it's access to that.
Even a Huron.
Right? Yeah, Huron could have been amazing as well.
Yeah, Huron kind of fills the same role actually.
I think so, big time. Except he's got a strike that Forlong doesn't have, and he saves your leader if your leader dies. He's got.
Maybe it's a points thing, because you do want to maintain a some sort of number of troops around.
90 as well.
as well.
The same price as Forlong on a horse.
There you go.
It's
I mean, Strength 5 is great with +1 to wound. You're not worried if anyone's going to carve their way through like a line of dwarves, Khazad-dum or something like that. This is your man.
Yeah, it's true.
yeah. He's
Whereas
absolutely.
other heroes just bounce.
I suspect it could be a case of someone's got a model of Forlong and horse they maybe want to show off as well. Maybe a fat medieval Bismarck.
It's a great model. It's a really good model.
Like, how much of a punch does it pack? Is the question for me. Like, it obviously doesn't have that turn 1 glory, but it has that lasting power.
Yeah.
If it takes you into the late game, it's really just going to continue to punish you, right? But it is lower models.
Yes.
It's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 16-ish, something like that. So if you can start
punchy, and it is punchy. We have also, gone out of our way almost to find all the 2 attack heroes we could and put them in. You've got Theoden, you've got Gambling, you've got Forlong. They're all 2 attacks. Helm isn't only because there's a Hobbit on the back as well. That's why I think if you said like a Daewine and Aemir in there instead, it feels like you're getting a bit more punching power on those heroes. Daewine, you get your 3rd free point of might effectively. It gets to insane levels at that point. You can start spinning off multiple dice roll.
I guess the idea is you have a lot of disposable might to bump up those 2 dice into their 6s after they've been rolled, after they've used their banner as well, because you've got Gambling there to replenish it, and you're using an LSR to call all your marches for every single turn you could possibly want, or your heroic move every turn. It's less reliant on Forlong, Theoden, and Durnhelm using their might for that cause. Allowing them to probably spend it a bit more freely in combat, which is always helpful.
Yeah, and you can always disengage with this list and kind of come back for a second go as well. Take 1 or 2 turns with Gambling, giving different heroes things as they back out, and then you can just come straight back in after repositioning, which Riders of Theoden doesn't let you do because it's all about that 1 mega turn.
It's interesting. Like, they've clearly made a decision to stray from Riders of Theoden here, right? Like, they started off with the Riders of Theoden list, like they had Theoden, Gambling, Durnhelm, and then was like, you know what this list is missing? LSR. So I'm really curious how it goes, because it's clearly a conscious decision to take in this direction, and someone thinks LSR is just quite clearly worth his points, and I'm very open to being proven wrong about that. He's a phenomenal model, and whether or not he belongs just to be plonked into any old list, but he definitely suits the bill here.
Yeah, the LSR I definitely see. It's that my question becomes the Forlong. That's probably my main question, and then where's the Daewine Aemir? Probably I just feel like it's not quite the optimal heroes. Maybe a couple of points to tweak there, but hey, look, I imagine anyone who's come up with this kind of thing is probably better at band than I am. So we'll find out in a few days if I'm crazy and this is much better.
We've seen LSR pop up in Rivendell. We've seen LSR pop up in Gondor. We see LSR pop up in half the damn good list. So I've yet to see him pop up in Rohan. So I'm keen to see how he can be utilized in this list.
Yeah, and that's true. It's a good point. We probably should, while we're here, mention the horrible theming of this, which is Forlong and Theoden, both of whom died long before LSR was crowned. It's
and Gambling.
True. God help us.
I think only Durnhelm's hanging about.
Durnhelm had hung up her helmet. She revealed her true identity. So
she's just really Dern now.
Minus points for anachronism, I think.
If I know anything about this list, I suspect there's the LSI could be proxying as a different character in this one as well as Forlong.
I'll probably accept that. I'll accept that. Just.
Just a little bit.
Just. You got my permission. That's very important. Oh, here we go. Into what we all thought was going to be the big meta, but perhaps haven't seen as much of as we might have done. A Dragon Emperor list. So here we have the Dragon Emperor, who is leading 8 Easterlings with shield and pike. Yes, that's right, Easterlings with shield and pike. 4 Easterlings with shield and 4 Dragon Cult acolytes. Next we have Brorgear leading 4 Easterlings with shield, 4 Easterlings with shield and pike, and 2 Dragon Cult acolytes. Next is Amdur with a horse, leading an Eastling Cataphract and an Eastling Cataphract with drum. And then a Dragon Knight on a horse with 4 Dragon Cult acolytes. So the interesting thing about this list is it's a Dragon Emperor list because we're bringing the Emperor, but it's not the Dragon Emperor Legendary Legion because as you can see, we've got Amdur, and it's not part of that Legion. And also a lot of the Eastlings are not actually, well, none of the pikes are Black Dragons. They're not taking an upgrade for free. So very interested to see what the thoughts are on this style of the Dragon Emperor, which is focused on the front line being fight 5 with the acolytes rather than some pikes in the back being fight 5. What do we reckon?
Yeah, I mean, I wish you had seen my face at the start. I was incredibly puzzled when I realized this wasn't the Legion.
Me too.
And so I suppose the logic is you really rate Amdur as a model, and don't get me wrong, Amdur is an amazing model, and he offers a whole bunch of stuff. But it is a big call turning down the Legion.
It's a big call.
It is a massive so. Let's go over what the Legion actually gives you here, just so I have this right, because I often get confused with what the Emperor gives you and what the Legion gives you. And I probably have this wrong. Is that the Legion gives you the Black Dragon upgrades?
He gives it for free in the Dragon Emperor's Warband, yep.
Okay.
And
the
any
Legion,
Dragon Knights as well.
Any Dragon
Okay,
Knights as well. Okay, cool.
and the Legion gives you the Lord of the West equivalent thing?
On your heroes, yep.
Cool. And the Dragon Emperor gives you the banner and
the
all
fight.
those other.
Yeah.
And the fight.
Which is
Okay. So you are keeping the fight 5, which is important.
Yeah. And I guess
And
really, if your strategy was to take the acolytes because you want those extra attacks on the front, and because you want the fight 5 on the front, then the use case for the Emperor Legion becomes a lot less. Because if you're not paying for the Black Dragon upgrade on all those pikes, then I guess I can see the point of saying, nah, forget about it. I'll save my point.
And so you're weighing up Amdur versus Rutabi, I mean, is the obvious
I
two
think at that
things
point
you're
in time,
considering, right?
yeah. And I can definitely see Amdur being a strong candidate there. It's a very, very tight.
Absolutely. Amdur is just a crazy hero. Like
Crazy good hero.
maybe the only evil model with an Elven Blade.
Dragon Emperor has
Emperor.
that as well, I guess.
Does he
So he's got
really?
both of them in this one list.
Yeah.
I mean, Elven Blade is literally such a powerful tool in the list.
Enormous.
It's
They'll
just
fight 6 with it as well, aren't they? So they're going toe to toe. All those good heroes.
underrated pieces of equipment. And like you said, when it's paired with fight 6, you just feel so confident going into the strike offs.
Yeah.
How many models are we at? 12, 16, 20, 24, 36? Is that right?
Sounds right. I did some math somewhere.
It's quite low.
It's a lot more attacks though. Is the thing, because your whole front line's got the 2 attacks, and then you got an extra 2 from your pikes, which is like a horrifying amount of attacks to be dealing with.
A lot of dice being rolled in those front lines.
And a banner.
Acolytes. And the banner. And the
2
fight.
banners.
But I do also, it makes me nervous, the thought of having all of your fight 5, which is kind of the key draw card of the army now, I think, or one of the key draw cards. All of your fight 5 is on some defense 4 models standing at the front. That's pretty spicy. You lose a couple of round, lose one bad round of combat, you could lose 4 of your Dragon Cult acolytes at the front, and all of a sudden you're feeling very nervous.
I suppose you've got the drum and the. I'm assuming there's a march somewhere. Do we know? Does Dragon Emperor have
unless
march?
the Emperor's got one.
I don't think the Dragon Emperor does.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, you may be missing a march.
I mean,
You got your drum to sort of dodge for the shoot. But I guess we've also not factored in the fact, like, yes, we've got Dragon Emperor with Elvenblade Fight 6, who's an absolute behemoth in combat. We've got Amdur on a horse with Elvenblade Fight 6, absolute behemoth in combat. We've not even spoken about the fact that the Dragon Knight is the
Dragon Knight
Achilles
horse.
model, you know,
Yep.
as an absolute weapon.
Shock,
Very
shock.
tricky model to use, I've found. Very, very tricky model to use. You have to get it right. Like, there's not a lot of room to make mistakes with this guy.
Be
He's
vulnerable.
very prone.
Yeah.
He's very vulnerable, but when he hits like a truck.
When you got him and Amdur running around as well, that's not nice here because you transfix one or something and then the other one comes and slams into you anyway. So
It feels like you don't have room to even consider dealing with the Emperor, right? You're dealing with Amdur, you're dealing with
Yeah.
Dragon Knight, you get disrupted by Borgir, and then you're like, okay, well, I still have to deal with this Dragon Emperor at some point.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
very, very
the other thing is
more of a hero focused army.
you've got 10 throwing weapons,
True.
which is
well,
excellent.
Yeah,
And a lot of might to use it as well. So even you go in with your squishier guys, but you probably, maybe get 1 or 2 kills on the way in, and then you start smashing them to death with your pikes. And it kind of forces that engage as well, because what are they going to do? Like sit? That's normally kind of what you hang out and do with a pike wall, is get around the sides. But if they're flinging stuff at you, you want to get in quick.
do we think it's punchier than the Legion?
I think it's punchier than Legion just by virtue of the fact you've got those 2 attack acolytes, and you've got Amdur, who is always punchier than Rutabi.
Mm.
On that horse with the fights, but it's nowhere near as tanky as Legion. Without having that huge pike block you imagine coming with the Legion. And I think that makes me nervous that all that fight 5, which is so important, is hanging out on the front with defense 4.
Yeah,
It's a very threatening list.
A very threatening list.
Yeah.
But one bad round of
If
shooting,
you got someone
one
who's
siege weapon,
yeah, exactly.
and holy Toledo, you're in a lot of trouble.
It's really interesting that Amdur versus Rutabi choice. Like, Rutabi by no means is a bad character, right? Like,
No.
it's not like you're
Not at all.
upgrading from a bad character to a good character. It's like sure, Amdur is an upgrade, but Rutabi can hold his own or hold her own, is it?
Hold her own, yeah.
Yeah, hold her own. So like, yeah, you're gaining that little bit advantage of Amdur, and yeah, you're getting a bunch of cool stuff like your Elven Blade, your Blood and Glory. But there are losses in Rutabi. Rutabi's like Master of Battle equivalent, whatever it is. Absolutely amazing. She's just a tank.
And she's a very, very tight model. It's not an easy choice, but I just feel like yeah.
I think it's more of a playstyle choice at the end of the day.
That's
It's
very
what do you
true.
want to do? Do you want to go hunt down heroes with Amdur, or do you want to sit there and just grind
And
it out with
line and
Rutabi?
grind it out. Yeah. Very, very true, actually.
It's definitely the spicy choice. Like, I really like this way of playing Easterlings, just like a full. It's almost glass cannon as what like you sort of become accustomed to
Really
modern day East compared to sort of old school pike walls. The Dragon Knight, like, it's just such a cool model, and I love seeing a Dragon Knight get used well. Borgir is obviously going to provide a lot of control as well. The what's the spell called?
Tremor.
Tremor.
Yeah, Tremor. If it's used well, it can be a really brutal spell.
Yeah. Especially with 4 attacks that are now 8 strikes. Horrifying.
So on that note, we've done a lot of talking about the Dragon Emperor and the Legion. I want to just add this briefly and go to the next list, which is literally the Legion. So just briefly, it's Dragon Emperor with 15 Black Dragon shield and pike, 2 Black Dragon cataphracts and a Black Dragon cataphract drum. Rutabi, 6 Easterlings with shield, 5 Black Dragons with shield and pike, and an Easterling with a shield, pike, and banner. And then Borgir, 7 Easterlings with shield, 5 Black Dragons with shield and pike. So this is, I think, 45 models all up. This is the Legion. Looking at the 2 of them sort of side by side like this, we talked about how Rutabi and Amdur is kind of a tough trade-off. Maybe Amdur is a little bit better, but Rutabi is still really solid. We've got the same Borgir here. This is the standard lineup as a pike block. Every man and his dog's got fight 5, and enemy's just got to chew through your 3 dice with a banner roll everywhere, fight 5, and your drum to run around the place. What do we think about this? Looking at them side by side.
it really is, like you said, like the grind version of the last list. If the other
Yeah.
one is an aggressive pack a punch, this list is going to grind you down.
It really is.
Mhm.
Very different style.
It's such a hard list to play against and feel like you're either coming off ahead. Like after every round of combat, it's one of those lists where you just look over and you're 2 kills down to it just goes on and on. It feels like you never get ahead playing against a list like this, right?
Yeah, and that's
It's,
kind of where I come from. As someone who's looking, I'm not playing one of these. As someone who's looking at the opposition list, I look at the previous one, and rightly or wrongly, I feel like I have more hope. I feel like I can see, okay, these, the Dragon Knight on a horse is a little bit more flimsy. You've got the cultist at the front can be shot down, can be killed, and the fight drops down. Okay, you're feeling better about it.
Mm.
This one here, you are always going to be facing fight 5 effectively, and you are always going to be facing at least 2, if not 3 dice plus a banner on top of it against you all the time. And they're all going to be
such
defensive.
a demoralizing list to play against.
Yeah, it really that to me is kind of the difference. Looking at it across the board, is this one I don't see. There's no light at the end of the tunnel on this one. The light at the end of the tunnel is games.
Right at the end of the last one, but yeah.
It's
There's the reason they don't let elves have this many models.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I feel like this one you're going to go to time every game, and the last
That's
one
very true. Yeah.
you're either going to win or lose in like a couple of turns.
Yeah. Even the
Be
heroes.
tabled or table them.
Which is it's so interesting considering it's like a 1 model swap.
Really is.
It's like
amazing difference it makes.
That 1 model swap feels like it makes such a huge difference in how these lists are going to play out.
Which is the whole thing. Yeah. I'm
very curious whether all of what we're saying is just complete crap and they play very similarly.
It usually is.
But
to be fair.
the way I view them is I think they are going to play pretty drastically, which I'm super interested in that actually carries over to the tabletop.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool. Yeah. I really
Who
wanna-
wins in the mirror match?
Yes. Who wins the mirror match? I feel like
Okay.
this one does. Just
Yeah.
because.
If the averages work out, this one probably beats the other one.
Yeah. And
But if the other one has good turn,
this one will make it a grind. And I just think you're going to get to the point where you've got a smaller pike wall with fight 4 versus a larger pike wall with fight 5. And Amdur and a Dragon Knight notwithstanding, you're going to be left with no troops at the end of that.
I think once this list takes out those acolytes,
Yeah.
and it gets the fight value advantage, it's going to be in for a good time.
Yeah.
But it has to survive that sort of hurt of
It does.
Amdur and the Dragon. But Rutabi's just very good at tanking up damage.
Big time. Anyway, let's go.
This meeting is being
Why
recorded.
does it do that? That helps nobody. Anyway, you've seen the
That's no
sausage
problem.
being made here, folks. Subscribe to our private page to see the sausage being made. Here we have another beautiful, beautiful army. Someone's answer, I think, to the last 2 that we saw. Somebody thought, oh, there's going to be dragon emperors everywhere, and I'm going to come equipped. Well, egg on your face, my son. We have Gothmog's Legion, led by none other than the big G, Gothmog himself, riding a warg and carrying a shield. He's bringing 7 Morannons with shield and spear, 6 Morannons with shield, and 1 Morannon with shield, spear, and banner. Next is Goroth, 7 Morannons with shield and spear, and 5 Morannons with shield. And then Guritz with 6 Morannons with shield and spear, and 6 Morannons with shield. And to top it off, we've got GGG and a catapult with 7 heads.
troll.
With a troll. Very important for the
Yeah,
troll.
the catapult needs an asterisk like with troll. Like
It
I know
really
it's part of
does.
the
Very
it's quite a easy thing to jump over, isn't it?
Very important. Yeah.
It needs to acknowledge that troll.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
got
I mean,
models,
this-
it's got heaps of Morannons. It's got an enormous amount of chop, 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 and the shooting problem has been solved with a catapult with troll.
Honesty catapult.
An honesty catapult.
I think when the Easterling Legion came out, everyone was like, okay, Gothmog's Legion is going to be the list to take it down, right?
Yeah.
Having the like +1 to kill,
Yeah.
having the catapult to bring it into you, like having Gothmog to deal with all that might that's floating around. It's got a lot of the right answers,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm.
we've not really seen anyone jump on the bandwagon yet. Like it was very much like 6 months ago deemed what's going to be the meta list, I think. Well, I mean, I know by a few people. Whether or not that's actually true, we'll find out. But like 45 Randons is a good way to deal with that Easterling.
Mhm.
Title.
You are not going to win many combats, but every time you do, chop, go home.
Yeah,
Every single
terrific.
time you're going to kill what you've.
It's 4s, isn't it? With the +1 to win.
Unless it's an
Yeah.
acolyte hunt, in which it's 3s.
Which it's 3s. Yeah, with a spear behind. Yeah, every fight you win. I think I've run the maths on this against like the Easterling pike with a banner reroll against the Moranans, and the Eastlings will kill you. Do slightly more damage, just because they got 4 dice to wound and they've got 4 dice to win the combat. But it's actually very, very similar. It's very, very close to the same, just because the Moranans will kill you almost every time when they win that fight.
You know what a
I-
pike
I-
block hates? A giant catapult.
And a pike
Yeah.
block hates a giant catapult.
You know what a hero with 0 fate hates is a giant catapult.
Mm.
Yeah, that's going to cause mayhem. With the Dragon Emperor being, it's the ultimate bubble army, and you've got the ultimate
Yeah.
priceless bubble in the middle of it, the Dragon Emperor. Yeah, if that
The
thing
catapult has
is
splash damage.
2-inch.
Yeah. 2 inch around.
Yeah,
it,
because
and
off
a very
that big
large
base as well. That's quite nice.
It's an enormous area.
Oh, yeah.
It's a huge area.
I really I'm interested in how this person plays Gothmog. I think there's a lot of different playstyles you can use for him in Gothmog's Legion, and I think it's very easy to fall into the too aggressive with him. He's such a pivotal piece of the list that you actually don't need to be throwing him into heroes and in this mindset of I need Gothmog to do work to make this list
No,
work. Him just being that master of battle in the center of the thing, him giving that 3-inch +1 to wound, whatever it is. He just does so much just by being a presence on the board that sure, try get him into a troop hero there when you can and get a free hero combat off those where you can, but for the most part you get to play pretty passive with Gothmog and let Gerritz and Golroth do sort of the chopping.
and the catapult and the 45 Marines. I mean, there's
And the troll.
up there, and the troll. There's so
troll.
much.
Don't
chop,
forget the troll.
there's an immense amount of damage. You don't need to spend. I mean, Gothmog's not adding much to it really in the grand scheme of things. Not
Yeah.
by fight.
The list does have its obvious flaws, and it's a list that really struggles to go after certain things. If this list gets told I need to go kill a banner, it doesn't really have ways to go out and seek that one model, or it needs to go kill a shaman, or it needs to go
Hoping. That's it.
to go kill a certain hero on Fog of War. It doesn't have that sort of sneaky plays or
Catapult's doing all of that. The only finesse in the list is
Mm.
Catapult. That's literally the only finesse in the list. Everything else is
Just roll well.
smack it with Marinans. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is your game plan, right? Just this list is going to break
Mhm.
you 90% of the games,
Smack it with
and it's going to
Marinans.
corner you 90% of the games. But can it get those
Yep.
other objectives?
Yeah.
Is the question always for this list? It's such a good grindy list that just wins to the death
And,
a lot.
and of course, it comes out against men, and it's all right. But as soon as you lose that, versus men advantage, if you come up against elves, you come up against another orc list.
You're not awful though. Yes, at the end of the day, it's
Oh,
still
no.
a Morannon list, isn't it? It's still strength 4, defense 6, blokes running around stabbing you to death. You're just not on 4s anymore. But
I always think of it like if we were reviewing this list, like someone took a Mordor list and just took these 4 heroes or these 3 heroes and these warband choices and catapult. It's not something you're ever going to go be like, man, it's really going to struggle against an elf list or it's still.
That's true.
The Legion is just a nice additional bonus. It's still very much like a solid list in its own right without that. If you just saw this as a Mordor list, you wouldn't be too critical, right?
no, not at all. The only thing it's missing is a cast, maybe
Yeah,
a
I think it's
budget
locked
ring
in
wraith or
place.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all thinking it needs a shaman maybe to deal with some
shaman.
sort of courage.
Again, the Tirith.
If it comes up against
Catapult.
Tirith, it's going to struggle. But if you're up against Tirith, you just throw enough catapult shots at them until they decide to engage with you, right?
True that.
Mhm. It really is the answer to everything.
It
It adds
is,
so much.
but it also has to be.
Mm.
This is the answer to everything. But you've got, it's this or smack it with Marinans. That's it. It's catapult or
Yeah.
Marinans. Are your only 2
Yeah.
options. And when
I
all
think you're
you
definitely microwaving your dice for this one.
when all you've got is a catapult with 7 heads, every problem looks like a Minas Tirith warrior on the walls of Minas.
It's 800 is definitely, I think, the correct like points value you want to be putting in the catapult, right? Like any less, you're probably maybe 700, maybe you're considering it, but 800, it's like the only logical choice. Like you can't pad this list out much more without the catapult.
100, you have to have it, I think, in this Legion. 'Cause
Yeah,
other
And it's not
people-
too bad in Maelstrom, unlike other siege
No,
weapons as
true that.
well, because it's got that
Control.
nice little bodyguard hanging out there, and it's people want to deploy by it, and then they're like, oh, hang on, troll.
You'll just spend some
to
serious
think about it
coins to
now.
take it down. Yeah, that's very true.
and it also has Garrett's to help itself with Maelstrom.
And I think you
Exactly.
are right, George. Like the catapult at this point level is it's effectively mandatory because otherwise, what do you have instead? Well, you've got a shaman and some more Moranans, and like once
Yeah.
again, you just become Moranans guy, and that's all you got forever. It's just Moranans,
Mm.
which does a lot of damage. But without the catapult, there are so many things this can't deal with, or this struggles to deal with. So I think it's close to mandatory as you're going to get really. First thing Gothmog, second thing catapult, and then build a list from there.
I'm just curious whether it can go off and find those VPs in other places beyond the 50% and the 25. I think it's always been the downfall of the Legion is it really struggles to seek out extra VPs. Even in scenarios like destroy the supplies or reconnoiter or something, it can just struggle a bit specifically without the drum as well, getting into those spots. So
Yeah.
I think if you can play it really well and make sure you can hunt down those VPs, you can win a lot of games with this list.
You can, but yeah, that late game when you're broken and they're broken, and all of a sudden, Moranans are evaporating left, right, and center, and you haven't got the speed to get where you want to go to. That's when things are going to start getting pretty gnarly with this one, I reckon.
I think this list, like its number one goal though, is just to break you without breaking itself,
Oh, definitely,
because
yeah.
it's so quick at
Yeah,
breaking you
yeah,
if it
yeah.
turns on.
Cool. Gothmog's Legion, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, next up we have Lothlorien and Rivendell. And can I say before we start, I really, really like this. This is good stuff. So we've got Galadriel, who is leading. She's bringing 6 Galathrun with bows, 4 Galathrun with shields, 4 Galathrun with shields and spears, 2 guards of the Galathrun court, and 1 sentinel. She's also bringing Rumel, who has got 4 Galathrun with shields and spears, 3 with bows, 2 with shields, 2 guards of the Galathrun court, and 1 Galathrun with shield and banner. And finally, this is my favorite bit. We have brought in from allies Aladan and Elrahir with their heavy armor and their horses. And they're bringing with them as well a couple of high elf warriors and a couple of high elf warriors with bows. How good.
So
Much armor for my
cool.
taste, but it'll do.
Very cool.
The man's got how many bows? Like 11 beautiful elf bows, 12 beautiful elf bows. Galadriel with the blinding light, Rumel to just completely mess up your big hero's day. Ella and Elri here to go chop, chop, chop on their horses. I mean, this is solid as a solid thing. You've even got the Sentinel and some 5-6 pikes.
Yeah.
It's beaut.
Yeah, I love the addition of the twins. Just
Yeah.
6 points of might. It's all strikeable.
As inspired. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
very cool.
The sort of cav heroes that can kill things that you need in a Lothlorien list that you don't otherwise get unless you're in captains.
Yeah.
Is
We've got the
this-
two kind of roadblocks of the Galadriel and Rumel, and then those two just go around doing the rest of the work.
Mm-hmm. What was it, Justin?
Don't worry. I read the wrong number for the wrong thing. We're away.
You did say you can't read. I'm starting to believe you.
Yeah.
I'm glad I said that because like it's really coming in now. I can't English either, so
It's the thought that counts.
4 pikes? I wonder.
Yeah. Seems slim.
It seems slim in a world where fight 6 is a new fight 5.
yeah.
Hmm.
This is the first fight 6 we've seen, I think, this whole way through. But even so, it's not as many pikes as I might have liked personally.
It's
It's
sometimes
enough to
running a
kind of
lot more.
sprinkle, but yeah, you're not being able to like kind of get a whole battle line at
No,
fight
you're not.
6.
What you're
I
an
do-
expert, Justin? What do you reckon?
I do like it as one way to go because it is that one thing where you're just chucking them behind your dudes against the enemy heroes. And it's
Hmm.
just a really targeted process against the Fight Six, the Alice's, all those big heroes like that. They can suddenly just stop them in their tracks. I think I played a game against Denny once with them, and yeah, we had Dane and Thorin, and between them they didn't really kill anything, which is a rarity.
Nah, the pikes with the banner support.
Yeah.
Are they elven
Yeah.
made pikes?
No, but you've got elven made weapons in the
Yeah.
front line.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's definitely a way to go. I personally prefer to run more, just with the meta at the moment being so fight 5. Well, the meta I thought I was going to see was a lot of fight 5 Easterlings and the likes of that.
Yeah.
But I think he's picked it better than I have. So yeah, I think it's really well done.
What are your thoughts on Rumel v Horde?
Rivendell seems phenomenal to me. He seems like such a good get. Yes, this isn't. He can't strike, but you're not missing strikes in this list. You know, he can't shoot, but you're not really missing shooting in this list. You need
I just
somebody
love
who stops him in
Rumel for the
tracks.
same. I think versus the game against Dom once where I had Rumel and I just kept chucking him into
Yeah,
who's the big dwarf from Khazad-dum? Durin. Like all game because he just calls a defense, goes in, can swift parry your opponent, shield, and just
so hard to
incredible,
deal with.
just an absolute nuisance to get rid of. Yeah. So no, Rumel's very cool. I mean, obviously the list might struggle a bit in contests, but yeah, that's what a 1 in basic maths 18 chance of
What's he
that
do about that?
occurring.
You're bringing Galadriel, you can't avoid it
1
really.
in 3, I guess, chance of it happening.
Yeah,
True,
Galadriel can
true.
slap someone to death as well if she really needs to.
With
You
the
just
neg
save the
1
might
and
for that
3
instead.
might, yeah.
I've
It
killed
can be
Frodo
done.
with Galadriel before. I was happy.
It's that ring, right? It's a ring hand, just
It is.
Yeah,
It
wham!
hurts.
I have done
It
that.
clubs
really
the
gets you.
temple,
Yeah.
just takes
Yeah.
him down.
Brutal.
Um,
2 pikes behind her as well. She's not
Yeah.
too bad in the fights.
That's true.
Sentinel's so cool. What do you think about the twins on horse?
I think if you're going to take them, you need them on the horse for this. Really, that's what
this
Lothlorien's
list,
missing
you're
is
on
the
horse,
the
yeah.
horse
Yeah.
horse hero.
Otherwise, you bring someone else.
Yeah, so what's it? It's roughly 180 points or
190
something.
for the both of them.
So that's the same as Elrond, who means you could take Riv Knights and who might arguably be a better leader than Galadriel. So I'm sure they would
I think
have
that changes the
gone
the
through.
whole flavor of the list though, quite drastically. You kind of once you take Elrond, you're like, well, I may as well take 4 or 5 kind of knights and
Yeah.
then you're skewing
Yeah,
very
right.
differently. I
Yeah,
like
that's very
having the 2 and just kind of being like 1 on each flank kind of thing. Now you got 2 striking heroes across the board because Rumel doesn't have the strike, which is why you normally take Helm as well. But
There we go.
take 2 striking heroes.
There's the thinking behind that.
Pretty good thinking, pretty solid thinking. I think a similar Lorien this night's own would have brought 2 captains and to run things down in place of the twins, about the same price. They get marks, they would get strike. They still got 2 attacks on the horse, I think.
Yeah.
And if you bring the horses, if they lose the horses, you haven't, they still get 3 attacks then.
Still
I think that's
fine,
pretty
yeah.
fine.
How
Yeah.
tempted are you in here to find room for Kurdan? Potentially dropping Rumel and filling up the twins' warbands or something like that?
Should we just replace Justin with a sign that says, "Have you thought about Kurdan?"
Look at that kid. I think, do you-
you'd have to
I
drop
mean, you've got Galadriel, right? So
I think you bring them with
Yeah.
Galadriel either. Yeah.
I'm never taking it.
No.
It's the terror that Guldur brings though is quite nice.
It's the Terra lines, yeah, or it's May.
I think it's worth it if you're getting the blinding light and the terror, but if all you're getting is just a terror and a second blinding light, you don't necessarily need, and an aura of fearless aura, you don't really need. I mean, I think you're paying a lot of points just for terror rather than terror and other things.
You take Kurdan if you don't take Galadriel and take Celeborn, would be my.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be
Answer
quite
that.
nice.
I agree with
Nice way of doing it.
or Haldir instead, alternatively.
Yeah, but no, this is a
Helm
really
Rumel.
cool list, and it's definitely, and I think it's like the Lothlorien Rivendell alliance is something that we've all spent a lot of time drafting up lists for because there's so many different options that you can go with, so it's very cool. I mean, there's even you can not go into, but if you wanted to, I've seen similar lists where you kind of also pop in the Fellowship as well, like a little leaky on a horse or something. But yeah, that would dramatically change the Rivendell heroes you
Vibe,
take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Cool.
cool. Well, big positive vibes. Haven't even mentioned the Sentinel, that's also cool. We just love it. It's good stuff.
Yep, so good.
Next up we have, here we go.
Here we go.
Mighty Moria.
Is it Moria or is it
The Legion.
that?
Surely it's the Legion.
Well, it was sold to me as Moria, but I can't see. As far as I can tell, it
This
could be
is-
the Legion, and I
I
don't
think
see
it's
why
the
it
Legion.
So let's assume it's the Legion. Someone's
Let's not. Let's not.
It's nicer if we don't.
What needs to be
And-
said?
Definitely nicer.
Oh,
I mean, at the end of the
man.
day, it's very briefly for those listening at home. It's the Balrog, 8 spear goblins, 7 prowlers, and 3 shield goblins. Then we got goblin captain with shield, 7 goblins with shield, 5 goblins with spear. Same warband again. And then a goblin captain with 4 bow goblins, 3 shield goblins, and 1 goblin drum.
It's
Careful.
pretty scary.
I see the word goblins a lot of time. It's a lot of goblins.
A lot of goblins. Got the
They're going to
big
do a lot of goblins.
Balrog. Yeah, big Balrog. We're just going to do Balrog things, which is impossible to take
Yeah.
down. And then enough little objective grabbers that you're going to make life
Yeah.
a living hell for your opponent.
Mhm.
Drum's going to do its drum stuff. Probably interesting if it is just Moria. If it's the legendary legion, it's interesting going for the captain rather than a shatter shaman. I think that's kind of a little cool thing to have. 800. There's nothing better than versing a Bozza or an Aragon or something, and just getting a nat 6 with your one little roll, and
Yeah, like
your
that.
opponent fluffs it,
Mm.
and they've lost their neg 1 for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think a shaman would have been cool to see. I think at this many
Yeah.
points. I'm not sure what that goblin without a shield, that captain without a shield say. You know, what's he doing that a shaman
Mm.
couldn't do?
And if nothing else, just for like my brain, I just need to have something.
You're a very
Games.
pro fury kind of dude. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But also just having something on the board that exercises a
something.
different part of the brain, so you're not just kind of like
Yeah.
shield walling up.
Yeah.
But then ask me that same question in game 6 on a 2-day event if that really is how I feel. If I just want to, says the man taking the dragon, Emperor Legendary Legion. Yeah. 7 prowlers
Nice.
is cool.
Yeah, 4 bows.
After
Fine.
shenanigans.
A good
the dra-
underrated though from the fight 5. If you see
Yeah.
lots of fight 5, what do you bring instead?
Yeah, what's that old adage? Like the best way to beat fight 3 is with fight 4. Best way to beat fight 4 is with fight 5. Beat fight 5 is with fight 6, and then best way to beat fight 6 is with fight 2. Lots and lots and lots of fight 2.
Yeah. This has got. Although how many goblins are we talking here? We're talking
So
Must be pushing
12, 24,
50, yeah.
36. What's 36 plus 8? Whatever that is.
54.
Healthy.
yeah.
Yeah. And you got a decent amount of, well, you got 6 might around with the Balrog, which is very nice. He likes being told what to do.
That's very nice.
It's actually a pretty funny way of looking at it. It's like,
Yeah.
there's Maya.
Come on,
There's just
buddy.
a whole bunch of captains being like, did you want to move? And then Maya's like, yeah, I did want to move. Thanks. It's a good idea.
It could be good.
I wasn't thinking of that. Yeah.
I
Why
like
not?
the old Sauron getting whipped by the Taskmaster as well. That's a classic.
It's a classic.
You've given a lot of thought to this.
Do we?
I
Now,
have
I
too
was
much time.
saying crazy. You talk about how the best way to beat fight 5 is with, or fight 6 is with fight 2. Lots of it. This is 54 odd models.
Mm.
You know, I think about your Easterling Legion, Jenny, which is D6,
Yeah, 45.
fight 5, and it's got 45 troops. Like it's
Yeah.
not a whole lot more, really.
Mm.
It's
And
not.
It
I
is a
mean,
it's
Balrog.
got a lot of
The-
D4.
that matchup would just be the Balrog eats Rutabi and the Dragon Emperor
Yeah.
for dinner. And then I've just got to quickly mop up everything else around.
Which, but I mean, you know, which you can do.
Well, yeah, I might even like give up my 2 pike rows and just try and Yeah.
Genuinely. Yeah, one on
run it
one the whole way across.
Yeah.
It's gonna be funny watching the Dragon Emperor get whipped into the Balrog though, with all
With a
his friends.
nay-nade. Yeah.
No. I mean, it's a cool list, but it's the standard Balrog Legion
Yeah.
list. It's going to do what the Balrog Legion does. It's all a Balrog,
It'll
and
be
then
really fun.
everything else just survives long enough. Hopefully, please God, hopefully to
Yeah.
keep you the win.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of these games where the end of the game is just the Balrog left, and that's all it needs.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's all you need,
Yeah.
but it's also not uncommon as well. Right. Next up, we have Khazad-dum, and Connie, you haven't read one yet, and I know you love dwarfs, so take it
I
away.
do like dwarves. Yeah, so you got Durin for the leader. He's got 12 Hearthguard, 2 Vault Warden teams, 1 Dwarf Warrior with the shield and banner. You got the mandatory King's Champion. He's got 3 warriors with shield, 3 warriors with bow, 1 ranger with the throwing axe, and 1 Khazad-dum. And then
Nice.
finally, you got Marden with 6 warriors with shield and 6 warriors with bow.
How many banners do you
Nice and
need?
tidy.
That was my thing too, Justin. I was thinking that
Yeah,
third
it's-
banner is that
So you got Sam who would say 0 banners, and then you got this.
I like the
gentleman,
3 banners
saying
personally.
3
I think
banners.
if you got a King's Champion with 2 banners automatically, I feel like why are you paying for a third one? That's my thing.
I think that those 2 banners can now just chase the King's Champion around, and you don't have to kind of make that tough decision of do I drop 1 or 2 off and leave the champion exposed.
What's his
Also,
defense,
they can't hand their banners off, whereas that 1 Dwarf Warrior with his one, he
like
can just
7.
keep handing it down the line.
without the 2 banners next to him. It's not as though he's going to collapse if his banners split off him. I don't know. Maybe I'm being crazy, but I feel like
He dies. It's sad. Also, it's not just the defense; it's the extra 4 fate that really makes it really difficult to crack through.
I mean, we're all saying that, but if at the end of the day, if I'm like thinking of my list, if I'm coming up against a battle line of 12 half guards with three banners to ensure the rerolls across that entire
Mhm.
yeah, it's true.
gun line, it's
Yeah.
it's going to punish me for rolling badly. It's going to chomp
Mhm.
through.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's
Vault
very true.
Wardens are just going to,
Annoying.
put himself in a little choke point, and just annoy the opponent. King's Champ and Marden can easily chomp through things by themselves. Is it just 3 dwarf bows?
There's 6
on the
more
right-hand
in
side.
Marden's.
Is it 6 in Marden? Sorry,
Yeah.
our
Yeah,
faces
they've
are
actually
over
got
there.
heaps.
So that's a lot of good
That's
shooting.
not a full close, actually.
A little throwing axe there.
I think looking at the warbands quickly now as well, I think it looks like if he dropped the banner, he's only had 1 more slot for a troop. Anyway, wouldn't he? So maybe it's a matter of saying, well, I've got 16 spare points, so I'll just
Yeah,
drop a soldier
exactly.
and back a banner or something. So that's fair enough. I can't eat
Yeah.
that. It's maths.
Because
Yeah,
Durin
exactly.
is legend. Vault
Yeah,
Wardens
legend.
counters too, so yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I do like the difference between the dwarf bows and dwarf rangers, just because they're different lengths, different ranges, eh?
Yeah.
One's
Yeah.
24, one's 18.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, my
different strength as well.
one critique of the list, because I actually think it's pretty cool, and I'm fine with the 3 banners. Would just be the lack of march, right? That's going to be the annoying thing.
Yeah. She could be slow.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
going to be very slow. You're not always going to be winning those shooting. I'm thinking against that Lothlorien list, for example, those stumpy little legs will be walking very, very slowly towards a bunch of strength 3 bows, and I wouldn't be surprised if you lose all your rangers before you even engage, and maybe you can lose a few half guards there. So that, just from my play style, I would have probably bought a king instead of Marden. I don't know what the points are there, but just something to bring the march.
I like seeing Marden though. You don't see him that often,
No,
and
that's true.
he's
It's
got
nice.
those 2 teams to kind of run around behind as well.
Yeah,
And if you put Durin, a King's Champion, and the Vault Warden teams out the front, that's a lot of D9
yeah, that's right.
in front of you, isn't it? To
Yeah.
taking the ways on.
And I think we've talked about it before. Durin is just like the add-on king. I feel like every single time I look at the Durin profile, I'm seeing a new special rule that I just
Yeah.
didn't know of
Yeah.
or forgot about. Like he's
Yeah.
got everything.
Mhm.
The tiniest model, but they've jammed as much as they possibly can into that one go. He's got a warhorn, just
Yeah,
just
yeah.
for fun. Why not?
Fearless? Okay, cool.
Yeah, that too.
Doesn't call us
Fury
Tira, does
Sword?
he? No, he calls us Tira. Okay. Yeah, Fury.
Oh, he's got a Fury as well. Just for
Yeah.
fun.
Reroll
Yeah.
priority.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah,
Reroll
that too.
priority.
Yeah, I know, genuinely. Good dude, good dude. I mean, it looks like
What a
fun.
good
Looks
model.
like cool. When it gets
That
to you,
looks
it's
fun.
gonna hit you like a bus. But
Yeah.
it's gonna like a very slow train coming. You're tied to the tracks.
Mm.
You can see it coming. There's not much you can do about it, but
Yep.
there's also plenty of warning. So
Make sure you know who that one Khazad guard is though, and pay very close attention to that one,
yes,
Doesn't get the
yes.
and kill that one immediately.
I'll just keep him there.
Yeah.
Power play.
No, he'll be the MVP.
All right.
Riders of Theoden. A timeless classic. I describe this as. This is a timeless classic.
Is it a
But-
timeless classic? Yeah.
I think it is. It's
I think
this list here.
It's the 2019 list for today.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. It's timeless as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
That's when I started playing.
Hmm.
Riders
Before
of
COVID, yeah.
Theoden, We've got Theoden, King, with his heavy army, shield, and horse. He's leading. He's got 5 Royal Guard with horses and throwing spears, and 1 Rider of Rohan with a banner and throwing spear. And we've got Angmar with shield, throwing spear, horse, leading 3 riders with throwing spears. Sorry. Helm with a throwing spear, leading 4 Riders of Rohan. Daelwine on a horse. And finally, Gambling with his horse and Royal Standard, leading 4 riders with throwing spears. So, Riders of Theoden, pretty used standard, but I think unusually, or not quite standard, is the fact we've got most of the Riders of Rohan rather than Royal Guard.
Hmm.
That's the real point of difference here.
Yeah, I didn't actually see that. I just assumed they were all Royal Guard to start with.
So when Sam and I versed Riders of Rohan at the Hamilton doubles tournament, what I didn't realize, and our opponents pointed out to us, was when they lose the horse, they drop down to like D4 because the expert rider doesn't affect. So because of the shields and the bows, they just become sitting ducks essentially when they lose the horse.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty funny. Yeah, it's an interesting way to build the list. I think the heroes are all the right heroes, and no one's going to complain about that.
Heroes are spot on.
Yeah, the only thing from a personal preference is I probably would have gone for all guards over riders, but I can understand why at 800 points and 6 games that you want to have a bunch of 24-inch bows. I get that.
Yeah.
That's fine
It's
as
the
well.
off-brand version of it's off-brand Rivendell Knights, isn't it?
Yeah, budget version. Yeah,
Kirkland Rivendell Knights. Yeah, which is, I mean, it's still a dozen horse bows. You know, it's not a terrible thing for each generation, and you got all the throwing spears as well, heaps of throwing spears too. But yeah, it's just that you're not going to have quite as much of high fight as you might want, perhaps.
Not everyone can remortgage their house to buy that many Royal Guard as well.
That's very true.
It's always been a list that's struggled against Fight 5 armies, hasn't it? Being Fight 5 on the charge. So I think it's quite brave, especially with the Easterlings and a few elves.
And Bjorn. Well, it's funny, right? Because like the one person from Poland watching this or something bizarre like that is going to be like, what the hell is up with the New Zealand meta? I thought Fight 5 was all the range, but there's been not that much. I haven't seen any Bjornings lists yet, which I was expecting to see a couple. I know it's expensive for us here in New Zealand, but I thought we'd see proxies. Yeah, I was expecting maybe 3-4 Emperors, and then I was expecting a lot more Elves or Fountain Court with Boromir. So there were a few of those at Avon, which we had earlier in the year. So yeah, it's not that much Fight 5.
Well, our viewers will be pleased to know I've done a bit of stats work, and so at the end of once we reviewed all the lists, we'll do a quick run over a few stats, and that will include things like how many lists are kind of Fight 5 standard versus how many are 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth.
And now for those that have fast forwarded to the end and have come back to where Sam said that, welcome back.
That'll be part 2. It'll be in the part 2. I think I want to keep it right to the very finish. Really spice it up for people.
With all the riders, it actually isn't that bad. You're kind of negating a bit of that. You're paying a lot for the extra fight, so you're negating that by going, we're just going to sit back and shoot for 3 more turns than you would with spears. Take off as much of those supporting models as possible, and then
solution. Yeah, exactly. And fundamentally, when you charge, you've still got the 5 heroes that are going to go, or 4, I guess, including gambling.
That many throwing weapons isn't something to be like throwing away too.
No,
I've recently done tournament. You'll do like 5 rounds where they won't kill anything. But the one round they do, it'll actually make a massive difference. They'll kill 4 or 5 in one turn out of the whole game, and they'll kill. But that game,
even taking out a cheeky horse on a big hero is just
all of a sudden
worth its points. Yeah,
it's 15 throwing spears. That's a lot. That's a lot of throwing spears, especially because you've had 3 or 4 turns of being shot at by 12 bows beforehand, and then when they hit you, they're also switch to the javelins. Yeah, it's a lot of shooting actually. That's true.
As well as the 8-inch threat range. Like if they just want to get the strength 3 over the strength 4, they can just pretty easily sit 8 inches away and cruise.
Yeah. True that. Wisdom. Oh well, see how it goes. Keen to see the variant. It's a list you see a lot of, but I'm pleased someone's doing something a bit different with it, because otherwise you see Theoden, Angmar, Helm, Daelwine, Gambling, dozen Royal Guard. It's cool, it's fun, but it's also been there, done that, All right. Oh, makes me feel physically ill, but I'm going to do it. All right. So, folks, this is Corsairs. We've got Delamere leading 8 Arbalesters, 5 Black Numenorians, 4 Corsair with shield and spear, and 1 Black Numenorian with a banner. We've got a Bosun with a spear leading 8 Reavers, 2 Arbalesters, and 2 Corsairs with shields. We've got a Corsair captain with a crossbow leading 4 Arbalesters, 4 Corsairs with shield and spear, 2 Corsairs with shield, and 2 Black Numenorians. And we've got a Corsair captain with a crossbow leading 4 Arbalesters, 4 Corsairs, shield and spear, 2 Black Numenorians, 1 Corsair with a shield, and 1 Black Numenorian with a Warhorn, which is a piece of kit you very rarely see. For those who are counting, this is 58 models with 20 crossbows.
I mean, wow, that's incredible.
It is incredible. It really is. This is I think first equal in terms of model count. And it's all fight for with throwing weapons, or most of the throwing weapons. Some of it's terrifying, some of it's D6. There's 20 crossbows. It's just there's a lot going
There's
on.
some
here,
Reavers
folks.
in there.
There's
I've never
Reavers,
seen
yeah, Reavers too. 2 attacks, gotcha.
Just because you needed more attacks, eh? There weren't enough
Short
already.
on dice. Short on
Is there a-
dice. Yes.
Is there a banner
Yeah.
or
The banner.
Yeah.
sorry,
A bosun and a banner.
where are we?
Black Numenorian banner in the first war
Oh,
banner.
yeah, cool.
So it's a D6 banner too, which is nice.
It causes terror.
Terrifying D6 banner, yeah.
It's really good.
And the bosun for the banner effects more broadly as well, if you're so inclined.
So I want this to verse Gothmogs.
You think? Yeah, that'd be cool to see. That'd be very cool to see,
I
actually.
might just like slip Georgia 20A and just see if you can get this as game 1.
They can both enjoy each other.
2 filthy lists just going at it. Yeah.
What happened to Damien meta? Like, I haven't seen a list that's I'm not scared of.
I know, right? Finals, dude. This is there's no time for Damien meta here. It's no space for it. It's all hardcore meta.
You say that, but didn't Damien bring Men of the West to a finals?
And that's true. I think he did last year.
And that gave him
Only
enough
once.
goodwill to run like any filthy list he's ever wanted after that for the next 10 years.
It's a pro
Um,
move, that is.
Yeah.
20 crossbows, boys and girls. 20 of them. Bang, bang, bang.
Good time to bring a
Is that the
shadow.
right amount of crossbows, Sam? Is that getting close?
Look, I always said it's bordering on too many at this point in time. The one thing that that does appeal to me is that means that what's that? Christchurch terrain, yes, true. actually.
Christchurch terrain.
That's true. That's a really good point. And also,
Honestly.
when the battle is joined, you will have 20 men who can either spend 3 turns walking or can continue shooting at the backs of their own friends. That's the only problem I've had with crossbows in the past. So your
think
58
with 20
models
you've got
suddenly
enough.
become 38 in the press.
You can just move 10 of them up each turn and still be really scary with your shooting.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
but- and with George not here, I'm just going to say it because he always disagrees with me on this, but I honestly think that just going for your Corsairs with a bow are better than the Arbalesters. I like the ability to move half and still shoot.
I have someone who's played with these Corsairs and has also played with other crossbows. I think having at least half of them as bow, I think, is worth doing. Arbalest is really good, but yeah, the
Yeah.
ability to move and shoot is not to
Justin
be.
just looks disgusted at what's just been said.
Yeah,
He's
that's
like,
really
no,
right.
if you take, he's like, when I write a Corsairs list, it's Delamere and then 1/3 crossbows, and then I go from there.
I mean, Denny told me this 9 months ago, and I laughed in his face, but I have become convinced since then. But we shall see.
I guess the Corsairs, they want to get in, they don't want to mess around shooting, unlike like Isengard. So they want to get in, and then your crossbows are just kind of chilling out. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I've
Hang
found.
out.
Yeah, yeah.
but do you really want to break through the Corsairs and then charge towards 20 crossbows sitting on the objectives? Probably not.
That's true. That's
I feel
very
like
true.
20, you start getting back around to that point of you've got enough that you don't care if you're missing 8 shots a turn, kind of thing. Like, who cares?
And then and they're still fundamentally Corsairs in combat as well.
Mm.
You know, they're not up to nothing.
This might be one of the lists at D3 or whatever it is that I might consider doing a Tremor instead of just doing a Fury.
There's not
If you
that
remember
much
it.
I'll still
D3.
forget it. I'll still forget it.
There's not that much D3 though. I actually
D4,
are
sorry.
listers. D4, yeah, a lot of D4. I'm pleased to see some Black Numenorians in there. It's quite good.
Yeah.
That's really
Double
nice to
cheeky
see.
Warhorn.
And the Warhorn is cool as well. I mean, I think it was clearly a case of my warbands are all full. I've only got 30 points left,
Yeah,
but I mean, shit, why not? At 58 models.
Mm.
What are they? Courage 3,
Yeah.
the Corsairs? That's not too bad to start with. Wake them up to 4.
It helps.
Can somebody remind me what a Reaver does? It's like it has to charge if possible,
If it
With
fails the courage
application?
testing, it has to charge if possible, and it gets a +1 to wound.
and that has to charge the nearest model, so it could be yours if you
No,
fail it.
it charges if there's an enemy in range, it charges the enemy, and if there's not an enemy in range, it charges a friendly one. But with the
That's cool.
bosun,
That's
the
cool.
bosun has like a 6-inch bubble around them. That means they can
Little fury
that's-
thing. Water
yeah,
pass. Yeah.
yeah, until he decides to let it off the leash. So they're hopefully pretty safe. Although if you're shooting this list, shoot the bosun, people. Shoot the bosun.
If
So-
you use
so
the
what's
bosun's
the
power,
law
you
there?
are a
There's a-
coward.
So what's the law there? Is it just like a bunch of pirates trading in cocaine and meth and whatever, and that's what these things are?
I
Just
think so.
There's
Yeah.
this extreme psycho pirates who've lost control. Yeah.
cool.
So that's my tip, folks. Shoot the bosun. Sit those Reavers on the Arbalesters and Corsairs with them. All right. That looks absolutely feral and good on them, I say. Who has brought this? Good on them.
Yeah, finals is the time to do it.
58 Corsairs. Yeah, never do it again, please. But
Not Southcon. That would be silly.
Never want to roll a dice again after this.
oh, you're not. Yeah, the rolling 58 throwing weapons is going to be, it's going to be good luck to you. All right. Oh, here we go.
Ugh.
Mode now. You thought that last
Mhm.
is serious. This is serious.
I'm very happy I bought a second banner.
Assault on Helm's Deep. We're right in the meta zone here, kids. Jenny, tell us the list.
So I was expecting like 20 of these. So let's see if I'm right. But so we've got yeah, we've got an Uruk captain with shield who's the leader and becomes that mega leader thing. He's bringing with him 8 Uruk warriors with pike, 5 with shield, 4 berserkers, and then 1 pike and a banner. He's accompanied by Warband 2, which is a captain with shield, not a buffed captain, but a captain. He's taking 4 warriors with pike, 3 berserkers, 1 shield, and 1 warrior just with a banner. Interesting. The Warband 3, got another captain, this time with a crossbow, which is cool. Who's taking 11 Uruk cross warriors with crossbow, and then 2 ballistas. So no bomb, a lot of numbers, 2 ballistas, and a good third of crossbows.
This one comes out at about 45, so not quite a third of crossbows, but I mean,
Yeah,
after a dozen, how many more do you need, really?
no, it's very,
20
very,
apparently.
very
Especially
cool.
with the ballista,
It's,
yeah.
it's
You know,
a fun list to play with, not the funnest list to verse all the time. It'd be cool to see what the ballistas do on Christchurch terrain. Personally, with my play style, not a big fan of the berserkers, so I'd probably just be looking for like more troops there and maybe a bomb in the list. But in saying that, if someone wrote me a list and gave me 7 berserkers to play with at 800 points, I wouldn't say no. I can
I
definitely
think
see
that's
why
their
they've taken it.
apology.
Yeah, it's their apology for taking the Legendary Legion.
Yeah. It's like, hey, sorry guys, I brought this 2 ballistas, but like, hey, 7 berserkers, so I'm like thematic or something.
Yeah, I think my apology would be, but we'll random Uruk warrior with a banner. We good? Yeah. Yeah.
Uruk's
One
with
thing I
pikes.
liked from last list to this one compared is the last one split up all their crossbows and all their warbands.
Hmm.
This one's got the 1 block and the 2 ballistas, which can split up a little bit. But I
Hmm.
really liked splitting up the 3
Yeah,
warbands in the list before.
agreed. Yeah.
The
You're right though, Josh. It's not as bad in this one, is it? Because even in Maelstrom, you know where they're deploying by at least one of the ballistas, so it's
Yep.
not the end of the world having them all in one.
I
That's
just like
what-
it for theme. I just
Looks
imagine
nice
that
too.
if I'm doing my army and I'm deciding who goes where, I'm not going to put an equal amount of bows and war bands. I'm going to be like, no, my gun line is going to be led by that one person
It's
there
good for theme
with the
and
crossbow.
simplicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's simple as well, but I
And
do think it's objectively not, especially with crossbows you can't move. I feel like you don't want them all in one place. I think crossbows in particular, I'd rather have 3 or 4 here, 3 or 4 here, 3 or 4 here, so they can always be functioning. Whereas you put them all a dozen in one place, I think it becomes easier to say, well, let's avoid this area. Let's just stand with, put this tree between me and them, and that sort of turns off all your shooting at once. That's my thing with crossbows in particular, I think.
Yeah. No, it's just going to do what Assault on Helm's Deep does, which
Mm.
is
Drown you under 45 Uruks while also blowing you up with 2 seasons.
exactly. Goodbye, bye, big heroes. And then once the lines hit, hello, strength 4, fight 4, and I'm not running for a wee while.
All those mounted lists we saw before, this is where it starts going wrong for them, I think.
Yeah,
Me included.
100%.
Yeah, and also to be fair, people who brought bike blocks,
Yeah, this is just going to absolutely dominate my list.
double ballista, plonking away that every turn. Yeah,
And as I said, I'm expecting like 10 of these legion.
Yeah.
Just because everyone in New Zealand seems to have all these Oryx from when they were a kid.
good news is not 10, but there is at least one more,
Goddamn.
and here it is. So this is similarly, we've got an Uruk captain with a shield as leader. We've got 10 Uruks with shield, one with a shield and banner, one troll, and our demolition team. Boom, boom. Then we've got an Uruk captain with shield with 4 crossbows, and an Uruk captain without a shield and 4 crossbows. And then this sick animal has brought, he knows who he is, he's a sick animal. He's brought 3 Isengard ballista as well.
This is so rude. 3 ballistas and a troll
nasty, eh?
and a
And a troll.
bomb. It's
And a
so,
bomb.
the
Give me
troll
one
could
brief.
fight
I've got
7d7.
And he's done this.
My favorite part about this is the 2 brands.
Yeah.
that bomb is going off. It is going
Yeah.
off. Ladies and gentlemen.
Guaranteed.
So we got a
Next to
bomb,
the
a
troll. I
troll,
really hope next to the troll.
3 ballistas. Yeah, I know. Wouldn't that be sick?
It's like 3 ballistas to guarantee that none of your heroes are coming into this
Never.
fight at all. And then
Never.
the troll and the demo team to be like, oh yeah, by the way, when your troops get here without the hero, they're all going down as well. So
Just fear on it.
enjoy not playing the game. Oh, that's
3 is nuts. 2 is terrifying. 3 is next. As a man who's bringing all mounted flimsy little elves on horses, I there's nothing
In
I
an
can do.
unbiased opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody, I think Jenny with a pike block is looking at this and going, "Cripes."
I'm looking at this and looking at my whatever it is, 50-point Pelican and going, so I just jump off that before I even start, because there's no way it's going to survive a round of shooting. No way it's going to survive a round.
Nasty stuff.
I think I don't know. Kudos for whoever's done this list. Enjoy it. I feel like, you know what, just double down. You should just got rid of the troll, bought another captain and gone for
Another
another
ballista.
ballista. Yeah, exactly. Just 4 of them.
Genuinely.
Well, I think the rule is something, I don't know. I remember
Yeah,
reading
one
something.
per
It's 1
fortitude.
for every fortitude. Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Get one in with a troll. Get rid of that.
Just if you really wanted to give the middle finger to your opponent, just drop the
Yeah,
troll and
Drop the
go
troll,
for another
grab a fourth
captain and
ballista.
another ballista.
The downside is you have to physically build 3 ballistas. And as someone who built one when they were 10 and was traumatized by it,
That was with
that on
metal
anyone.
as well. Imagine the flying
was.
cast ones. Yeah. I don't have much to say here. It's, as I said before, the ballista's going to make sure the heroes aren't engaging, and then the bomb and the troll are going to make sure that whatever does come is just not going to
I
survive
like
either.
the Maelstrom deployment, which is just a ballista on each side and the troll on the last.
You can't avoid it.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
what are you gonna
exactly. Exactly. Maelstrom,
I
like
mean-
those ballistas are going to fire. You're going to find this weird thing where all 3 are here, and so you wrap around this one, but then you've still got 2 more that can fire into you.
Yeah.
And so you try and wrap all 3 at the same time, but they just shoot
Impossible.
at different time. Yeah, it's
They're all shooting each other.
cool.
The only thing is the ballistas haven't got volley fire, do they?
No, they're still the in the ways, but doesn't the army bonus help with that?
It does, but I mean, they've got to have line of sight of you. So that cross-search
Yeah,
terrain
true.
thing it becomes an issue for them again. It's not like
Also,
catapult
there's the
can just fire over the
new
top.
6-inch as well.
What's that? The minimum range.
Minimum
There's a
fire
6-inch
range,
minimum
yeah.
range, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So between those 2 things, hopefully he says I can reconsider, we'll get out of sight of one, get close enough to another one, and there's only one that can shoot you, you know what I mean?
Man,
That's kind of the
imagine
dream.
taking all mounted Rivendell Knights and feeling confident.
Hmm. Where's your kid at now?
I'm hoping my head is at I can march 7.5 inches and I've got 24
And then
guns on my
bomb
bow.
yourself out
I
of the
can
game.
heroic shoot and I've got to just shoot the crew. It's
Yeah.
just shoot the crew.
So-
Shoot the crew.
Just lose really fast.
Shoot the
Yeah.
crew. Shoot the crew. If one of them hits me, I'm cooked. So I just got to shoot the crew and hope. Oh dear. And then the bomb. Anyway, this person knows who he is, and I've spoken to him about this list, and I want you to know once again, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh, was it that person? Well, that
Oh.
person, I think, said that you should start taking fun lists, Sam. So you start having fun again.
I know.
And then he brings this.
This
It's-
person's given me a lot of grief this year about what
This
I'm
is
saying.
fun for him.
yeah,
This is great
This
fun.
person's just trolling. That's what the Isengard troll is. He's gonna have a picture of Sam just glued to it. This list is just a troll Sam.
Right. Next list is here. It's not Assault on Helm's Deep, but
Oh, may
it's
as
an
well be.
honorary Assault on Helm's Deep. This one's just Isengard. We've got Saruman on a horse with Grima, 7 Uruks with shield, 5 Uruks with pike. God, I'm sick of Uruks. 3 Berserkers,
Yeah.
an Uruk with a pike and a banner, a Warg rider with a shield and a throwing spear, and another Isengard troll with a spear.
Sorry, just before you go, what happened? Like, because I always thought people take Isengard because we had a whole bunch of Oryx when we were like 10 years old lying around and we just wanted to bust them out. Did everyone just buy a troll back in like 2005?
No one built the Mordor troll in the
Yeah.
Pelennor Fields. That's it.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Sorry, Sam, carry on.
That's all right. They're also bringing Vrasku with 9 crossbows, 2 pikes, and another Warg rider with a shield and throwing spear, and then an Isengard ballista, just because
Of course.
they
of
thought
course,
clearly
of
we haven't had
course.
enough ballista. Let's go another one. So this is it's not Assault on Helm's Deep. You don't get rerolls on the ballista, but you do get to bring Saruman and Vrasku
And Grima, which we know.
and Grima, which is peak. So
yeah, it's-
Can
it's been
Grima
great.
be deployed as part of Siren's warband in this? Making it an
He-
18-man warband? A 19-man warband?
well, this is I was curious about this. I think he's an independent hero,
Yeah.
so
But
he's,
he must be taken in Saruman's warband, right?
if he's deployed with their army, he must
Yes.
be taken Saruman's warband. So he would have to always be deployed to the opponent's army, I guess, is
Yeah.
the caveat there. Yeah, because I had that same thing when I was checking the list. So I
mean,
think
there's-
that's how it works.
it's interesting 'cause there's not actually that many things which are going to neuter Grima and I would have expected a lot more magic from at 800 points here.
Yeah, We've seen
There's a
the
couple of
surprising
Witch
ones.
Kings, a couple of Angmar
There's
things,
a
but
Mermac.
Accuracy rates at this point.
there's a
Yeah.
Mermac, there is the impact hits, but
The
yeah.
Mermac.
A couple of Theodens as well, which are really, really going to hate this matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, him along with a troll it's a cheeky little combination because it makes that strike
2 plus
just that much more
transfix.
painful.
Mhm.
2 plus transfix with the troll.
That too.
Yeah, it's
It's
cool.
really good.
Nice little piece of kit, eh?
Yeah,
And then of course you've got the blister just to make you really miserable on the way in.
yeah.
And 11 crossbow shots.
And 11 crossbow shots to make you even more miserable on the way in.
I like the wall graders as well for those cheeky little fast
Yeah,
models. Like this is definitely a list that's been thought about. It's not just a let's just grab some stuff together kind of thing.
exactly. That's the advantage it has over the Assault Legion, I guess, as well, as that bit of pace
the
from a
fast
few
models.
horses and a few wargs
And magic.
and magic.
Yep.
Vrasku's got a march, which is nice. There's no strike to be seen, sadly.
I mean, with the Isengard troll at fight 7 and Saruman with a 2 plus transfix,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
probably
And
your
a
answer.
a lot of problems. Yeah,
And a Grima, yeah.
Yep.
God, Grima's so annoying if you can't deal with it.
so annoying.
Yeah.
And a ballista.
And have a
Yeah.
lister.
Just
don't
don't
know if
shoot your Grima and you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know if there's much more to say about it. It's cool.
That's pretty cool. It's pretty toy-y. Cool, spicy. I think after I think after 3 hateful Isengard siege weapon lists that
And
that
then one list with hatred.
yeah, well, that's the hatred. We all knew they were coming, but we've seen them. I hope we're feeling good. Still feeling like we want to come to the finals. Maybe it's a good place to stop part 1. So, as I mentioned at the start, we're doing this in 2 parts just because there are so many lists. We thought rather than make you sit through a 6-hour video and us do a 6-hour recording, we'll just chop in half. So,
So the
this is
second
the
part will be part B, which makes this
part 1,
part
3,
A. Part A.
part A. Ah, that's really good chat. It's a dab from
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
It's a
yeah,
big dab
good.
there.
Justin,
So
what
yes,
is he saying?
thank you for Jenny. I'm trying to do an outro. Would you just mind your business? Thank you. Thank you all very much to the public for joining us for the seamlessly edited part A, which was interrupted briefly by technical difficulties and is now resumed better than ever. Part B, which is less party-like, I guess, will be coming out in the very near future, featuring a whole new, partly new at least, cast of reviewers because it's hard to get people together. And also because so much great talent in the scene is the other reason. So much great talent around the Ultra scene in New Zealand.
Thank you.
Thank you all for participating. Thank you, Jenny, for sticking with us over the course of 2 evenings. And thank you to Connor and Justy for joining in when we were desperate, because that's the only time we'd ever have accepted you, of course.
Oh, what did George leave?
Did George, what? Who? This is
What?
George-
He split into 2 people. That's what
Yeah,
happened.
that's right. Yeah.
George-
He got too good and had to split his talent in 2.
Yeah, I think
I
the,
didn't give very
the
much.
league agreed to that at the October meeting, I think.
Mm.
Yeah, it makes sense.
the guillotine was for. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure reviewing with you, and we'll see you out in YouTube land. Like and subscribe very soon.